Come and listen to a story about a man named Shaw, the child support officer enforcing family law. Day in and day out, seeing marriages go bust, folks fighting over kids, leaving hearts in the dust. Then one day he was pondering the mess, wondering how unions turn to such distress. He dug into the past, seeking wisdom from before, and up from the pages came a dowry lore.
What up, y'all? Just checking to make sure everything's working right. Hopefully that's not too loud. Put that down a tad bit for y'all. Shout out to Luke Nielsen for this amazing music right here. And to the other AI sorcerers and AI technicians and AI magicians in the Discord and in the chat who blessed this channel with AI creations. Looks like Twitter, I hope it's working. Hopefully everything's working. I got no idea. Let me just double check my Twitter real quick. I was trying to stream there also, but maybe it's not streaming. Which is too bad if it's not, you know, what can you do? Oh, no, it is. All right, well, everything's going as it should be then. Man, hope everyone's doing okay. Glad to see everybody here. Let's see what's going on with the chat. Hefbag says, yo, all the way from Nigeria. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you for being here. Shout out to you. I know we got a lot of folks in here, but I want to give a special shout out to Hefbag from Nigeria. That's amazing that we got folks all the way from Nigeria watching me. So thank you for that. It's always great to hear where people are from. We got Don DeMarco. Peace, Shaw. What up, everyone? I guess I missed this new trend, bread or buns. It's new to me too, frankly. Somebody put it in the disc. I haven't even actually watched it yet, so we're gonna be taking a chance here. Luke says, gonna be a good one. Hope to make it. I see Luke there. Let's go. Shout out, Luke. Thanks for being here. Luke again blessed us with this amazing music. This fantastic song here that I love so much. And let's go ahead and put a classic in. We got a lot of good music. I mean, we got Deadbeat Woman. You know what? We're going to give it to Luke again. He's just been making such amazing songs. Do one more song. Giovanni. Shout out to you, Giovanni, and thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Really appreciate that. That means a lot to me, man. Just showing some love, Shaw. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Shout out, Giovanni. Thank you for that generosity, sir. RPC says, what's up, Shaw? What's going on, RPC? I don't know if I've seen you here before. Man, I love this song. Looking forward to the stream tonight. Shout out Happy Bachelor. And Klaus. All right, now that Klaus is here, we can get things moving along, actually. We don't have a stream till Klaus gets here, so. Shout out to Klaus. Well, we're gonna have some fun tonight. I'll wait. You know, I'll give it. Let's let the song pass. We're not even to 5 minutes yet, and then we'll go over. I got a lot of random stuff. I'll tell you that. So we got stuff to look at. So I mean, it's gonna probably be pretty loosely organized, but I think we'll have fun tonight. So that'll be all right. Klaus is in the house, absolutely. Santa Claus. Carrying a bag full of gold pills for these ladies out here. Deadbeat woman. And we also got some more images. If I can find that, where are my pictures at? From Peter Wright. Not sure if we'll see Peter Wright tonight. We may see him, but he did share some more historical images with me. I also have a surprise for you guys tonight. Peter Wright shared a couple of old articles, like pre-YouTube manosphere, that actually discussed the dowry a little bit. So it didn't do as deep of a dive as we do here, but there is some historical precedence in the manosphere of a discussion of dowry. So we're going to have fun reading those articles tonight, and we're going to highlight those and just see what they got to say. Beyond that, it appears that the Indian feminists have found me. iTrevor, shout out to iTrevor, who coined the term gold pill. He sent me a Reddit thread of a very unhappy feminist from, I believe, India, who found my discussion with a one Anya Shak about the dowry, and she was not happy about what I had to say. She was not happy, and she went to a lot of different subreddits to post the same thing. But surprisingly, some of the comments seemed to push back on her on some of those, so that was pretty cool. Peter Wright is awesome, absolutely. Shout out to Peter. Oh, what the heck? Sorry about that, Peter. Oh no. Oh no. We had a sound effects mishap. You know, I was looking at my fail sound effect and I was like, I better not hit that button because my shout out button's right next to it, which is very dangerous now that I think about it. And then somehow I accidentally hit my moo sound, and anyways, the rest is history. But yeah, so we're going to be going over this video today. Bread or buns. I actually haven't watched, like, I watched like a minute of it and somebody put this in, and it kind of reminded me of the drizzle thing. You guys remember the soft guy era? Yo, John McCallion. I haven't seen John McCallion in a long time, man. It's a pleasure to see you. You know, John McCallion was the first guy that ever gave me a YouTube interview like on somebody else's channel, which was his channel. So I did a stream with John McCallion, and I'll always remember that, you know. And then the second person was DL Saint, and he also made some shorts after we had that discussion, which was pretty cool. But thanks for being here, John, man. That means a lot. The cow, yeah. The cow is meant for some very specific things. Very specific things. But yeah, so this basically, I sent this to Peter Wright and he got a kick out of this. He actually really enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, I think I should react to this. But he reminded me of something called the Stingy Men's Movement. And there was actually a Kenyan, or actually a Nigerian thing, and I think it was also in Kenya for a bit, but it's called the Stingy Men. And they have like a whole association, the Stingy Men Association of Kenya, Stingy Men Association of Nigeria. And it was a thing back in like 2021. So this is like pre soft guy era. So it kind of has this, it's interesting because there's this sort of organic, I guess you can say, movement of guys that feel like they're getting a bad deal, you know, when it comes to this whole relationships and dating thing. And so this what we're seeing is kind of a newer iteration of that, the bread or buns. At least that's what I think, because I've actually not even watched this yet. So I figured we'd go through some of the Stingy Men stuff and look at some of the funny things that they made and just see what it's about. Then we're going to look at these older articles, and then we're going to look at the Indian feminist who found me, who's not happy with me, and we'll have a look there. So that's going to be the itinerary. I kind of wanted to make this its own episode, but if we have time left, we're going to look at this. And it's about women's literature. And this lady kind of blows the top off of how, like, it's basically the hub, but for women. Like, you know how you always hear, like, oh, men's, you know, ideas of sex have been completely warped because of, you know, the nudie videos, and their expectations are all off, and they just don't understand, you know, the humanness in women and all that, and they objectify them. Well, what this lady talks about in this video is absolutely insane. And she's talking about, I mean, it looks all, I don't even know why I clicked on this. I just clicked on it because I was like, you know what? I can't find a good story these days. Let's see what she's got to talk about. And all of these like women's literature novel books, or at least a lot of them, are just like the craziest, just like sexual fantasy deviancy that you can imagine. And she talks about like just different aspects of that and how it's really, like, how bad it is and how many young women are reading these novels and how it's like on par, if not worse, than what the hub does to guys. So maybe we'll get there. Maybe that needs to be its own episode. You know what I mean? Peter Wright, howdy, gents. Shout out to Peter Wright. Let me give you the proper sound effect right there. Salute, Peter. We're going to have a fun discussion. It's a blessing to have you here. Dropping by to show some love. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Mr. Pitt, always a blessing to have Mr. Pitt. Mr. Pitt was hanging out with me while I was playing some video games on Twitch. So thank you for that, Mr. Pitt. Raymond, thoughts and mind. Hey, Shaw, you beautiful man. Well, why, thank you. Why, thank you. Well, you're making me blush. If I was a little bit lighter, if I had a little bit less melanin, I promise you'd be able to see that. $5. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's them darn nudie. It's always the nudie videos. It's the nudie videos and it's the nudie romance novels. The stuff that's in here is going to blow your mind. I almost don't want to go over it tonight because this should be its own thumbnail. Like, this really should be its own video. But we'll see. We'll see, what time allows. So, yeah, she's basically throwing up the whole game here that women have been hiding from us about what kind of stuff they're into. We're about to find that out. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's all here, and it's all in print. And there's no way of getting through this. Oh, my gosh. Yes, we will be reading some passages from these novels. Mad Villainy. Shout out to Mad Villainy. It's always a blessed to see you. Good evening, ladies and gent. Well, good evening, my good sir. Hope everybody's doing okay. I know it was kind of a tough week. As I saw what happened there with the conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, and I know that affected a lot of people deeply. And I'll just tell you, like, I went on Twitter finally after a while, and I was actually going to respond to Peter Wright, and then I just looked at my feed for a bit, and I saw the footage. And it was really bad. At first, I didn't think it was real. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, this can't be real. And then when I found out it was real, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. And I really didn't know what to say. So I really just didn't say much about it because it was just like, so crazy to see that I just, you know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, but I know a lot of folks, I saw, there was conversation about that in the Discord, and I just hope everybody's doing okay. And, I just understand, how that weighed on folks over the week. So I do want to give acknowledgement of that. And just glad everybody's here, we're here. We can just, just have another wonderful evening in the tavern, if you know what I'm saying. So, women can consume their X-rated content whenever and wherever they want simply because it isn't visual. Dude, that's the thing she really goes over in this. And it's crazy how big of a double standard there is. You know what I mean? And it's like, I've always heard it discussed with men, and she discusses this double standard about women who do feel like it's bad. Kind of like the equivalent of like no fappers for men. But there isn't really forums there, and when women go there, they kind of get shouted down because it's like, hey, well, this is a good thing, or, feminism. I don't even know. But she talks about it in the video. And it's 37 minutes of her going on about this. So it's, we're going to have to do some waiting. We are going to have to wade through some of this. We're going to be, up to our thighs in this. But I think it's worth watching, Giovanni says, it only blows your mind if you didn't already know the game. I mean, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it definitely checks out with what I think we're seeing out here, but it's crazy reading some of this stuff. Like, I think you'll still get something out of it, Knockout said it affect white America. Hey, shout out to you, Knock. I think it's my first time seeing you in here, man. I can hear what you're saying. I think it definitely did because that's who he represented. But anybody who saw the footage on that, I think it affected them because it was just so grisly. You know what I mean? And it just didn't make sense. And, now there's more details coming out about who done it. And it's just, that's just something that's happening, right, in the background. Luke Nielsen says, I saw the initial video, knew it was over immediately, seen it before. Yeah, I don't know. At first I was like, what the heck? It looked bad. But when I saw the close-up, like most people, I was like, yeah, that's not how it's I mean, I looked at that and my first thought was even if Pharaoh's surgeons were standing right next to him, there would be nothing that could happen. So, you know, that was that. It's a tragedy, period. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know, you know, it like in the sense of like, yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it's not something that should be happening, and that's why it was so unbelievable, because it was like, really? You know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I'm sorry, I thought I put Luke Nielsen's comment on there. It should affect anyone that wants to speak their mind. That's something I was thinking about too. Just after this, I don't know, just as this happened, like, you know, because there's a lot of discussions about like freedom of speech and all this kind of stuff, and what that means. And, you know, like, it reminds me of a conversation that I had with someone back in college, you know, and I was taking French back in college, and there was this woman in there, and she was like super feminist, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I mean, you know, 2011, 2012, California, what do you expect? And man, you know, she was just talking about, she was just like, a woman should be able to walk around naked and not get, you know, harassed or whatever in public. And in my mind, I was just thinking about it from a pragmatic point of view. I was just like, yeah, but we don't live in that world. Like, I should be able to walk around with the Rolex at 1 a.m. in front of, you know, the corner liquor store. But that's probably not the best idea. And yes, ideally, we strive for people being able to share whatever opinions they want. But, you know, you do got to be pragmatic in that. But I think at the same time, it's just like nobody expected what was going to happen to him. I mean, he did have security, and I think he did realize there was a danger there. But I don't think anybody expected that it would happen the way it happened. You know, they really got to get drones or something flying out there. It's not hard to do. They're not that expensive, and they should just start surveilling these things. Like, you got to hire like 1 or 2 drone guys to just have them flying around, just watching or something. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to do that because it can introduce a whole other element of assassination potential with one of those drones. But, you know, typically those drones do beacon. They do broadcast a signal saying whose drones they are, you know, so the police can be aware of that. But yeah, you know, so I guess what I'm just trying to say is that there is always this danger element. And, you know, I think he realized that to some extent, which is why they always have security and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody was guessing it would, you know, obviously not, it would go down like that. So yes, ideally, people, that is one of the values that we have, is freedom of speech. Pragmatically speaking, though, you know, it's, people can lose their minds and do all kinds of nutty things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Sad to see that, man. Such a tragedy. Differences are one thing, but harming each other sets democracy back. It's not acceptable on either side of the aisle. Thank you for that, Giovanni. Very true. Mad Villainy says, isn't this what 50 Shades series is about? Ladies gonna be calling me 50 Shades of Villainy. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's about. That is an accurate statement. But to be honest, man, I've never read it, but from what I've heard about it, some of the stuff that she's talking about, which are pretty much like classified as young adult novels, like these things shouldn't even be sold to essentially, you know, kids under 18 is what's happening with these books. And when you look at some of these books, it's pretty bad. So it might even be worse than 50 Shades of Grey. Did 50 Shades of Grey, I mean, I'm sure it had like a, you know, an age limit on who can purchase that probably. Klaus says the worst for me were some of the reactions celebrating his death. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of that. I did see some of that. His death is really a conspiracy. Yeah, you know, there's definitely a lot of different people jumping to conclusions. Now they have the guy, and the most recent thing is like, it was very strange, you know, because it's a guy that comes from a like Republican family, at least from what they've seen. But then, you know, it just came out. There was an article here. You know, I should probably bring this up so it doesn't look like I'm just pulling this out of my behind here. Tyler Robinson her partner. Yep. Here it is. Damn. What was that? Boyfriend? I think it was, what was it? New York Post that first put, I'm trying to find the article that, all right, here it is. New York Post. So this is what's coming up. Oh, come on, man. The ad blocker. Hold on one second, man. Let me just do some housekeeping. Refresh. If you can call that housekeeping. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. Oh, for the love of God. All right. I tried to give it to them. We're going to go over to Fox News. Thank you, Fox News. All right. I tried to do it with the other guys. Corporations, man. All right. So this is where it's at now. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin lived with transgender partner who is now cooperating with FBI. This is the guy. I think they have a possible picture of the partner. So, you know, at this point, they're just like, well, you know, he could have been radicalized, to use that word. He could have been radicalized by that partner of his. So sounded like he may have been a closet, you know, rainbow style person. And he maybe had this relationship going on, and he grew up in this kind of Republican, you know, religious household, from what I can tell. I have not looked deeply at this. And so I don't know what it was. You know what I mean? You know, we won't know that. Maybe we will know that, because they actually do have him in custody, and he might explain some of that. But yeah, so that seems to be where it's centering on right now. Evening, brother. Mr. Pitt says, the events with Charlie Kirk are a wake-up call to anyone who establishes a platform to advance their ideas. Move with wisdom and keep your head on a swivel. Yeah, you know, I think it is a wake-up call, especially to a lot of people that are in this industry, but especially to the bigger creators. To be honest, I was surprised, because I didn't really watch him except for the stuff that was like related to what we talk about. I did react to a video of his. He did come out and say that, you know, guys better not be playing video games, or they got to provide, you know, for their wife and all. You know, he was a tradcon, right? So it did kind of hit our radar every now and then. So I don't, you know, obviously he was talking about other stuff. I just figured it was like mainstream Republican stuff. I just didn't think what happened to him. I didn't see him as, he was very popular, but I didn't see him as high profile as like a, you know, like an actual legitimate politician. But he was in the ear of Donald Trump, you know, like he was a big figure in the sort of MAGA movement as far as the younger voter base was concerned. He probably could have ran for some political office later on, but I just felt like his position now, it just seemed like way over the top. So it you know, I'm kind of leaning on believing it was some young, confused individual that really, you know, harbored hate for him or something. On a side note, all of the commentators on the right, CK was relatively tame. That's what was my opinion too, frankly. He just kind of seemed to just be like more of a mainstream tradcon. I don't, like I said, I didn't really watch his stuff that much other than what would cross my radar for this subject, but I didn't really think that he was saying anything that was like so over the top to come out like that, but you know, which makes this a head scratcher for me. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Luke Nielsen says, that's a fact. If some dude can just pop you for having an opinion, everyone in public eye with an opinion is now a target. Act accordingly. Loonies are encouraged by other loonies. Yeah, it's true. I forgot what they call those. I think there's a term for that. It's like copycat. Well, I mean, it's like copycat, you know, people that do that. Hey, Elena, great to see you in here. Shout out to you. Hi, Sean, everyone. How are you guys doing? We're having a ball of a time over here. Mad Villainy says, security was atrocious. Just about anybody with minimum training could have made that shot. He wasn't red pill, but he was a good man. All right, well, I'll say one more thing. Knockout says, some people say the government put a hit out because of the Israel stuff. I've seen some of that swirling on Twitter. I mean, you know, I don't know if we're going to know that or not. It's certainly possible, you know. There were like some weird things, like if you really want to pull out the tinfoil hat, like, I don't know, man. So it's, you know what? I'll just leave the tinfoil hat over there for now. But yeah, I didn't watch his content either, but I know he did a lot for the conservative movement. Some on the right said he could have run for president after J.D. Vance. Yeah, probably. You know, I think there's a lot of bigger influencers who can. For a time, I believe that Candace Owens could run for president. Like, you know, if she kept on her track for 15 years, another 15, 20 years or so, and just kept doing what she was doing. She seems to have veered off a little bit, but, you know, it could happen someday. It could happen someday. So yeah, anyways, I just wanted to acknowledge that for the folks out there. And going back to this, so the Stingy Men Association of Kenya. So yeah, that's the rundown of what we're looking at today. So it's probably going to be a lot of us reading before we actually get to the video. So I'm just telling you that now, and just please expect that. Now, starting off with our artwork for the night, this is from Peter Wright, and this is a, oh gosh, when did this, sorry, this is from 1830 from a Frederick Bouchot, and the name of this painting is called Thanks to the Dowry, Reading a Marriage Contract at the Lawyer Office. So just wanted to share some more, you know, history here. We got some paintings. Oh, one thing I forgot to have is my overlay on. There we go. My bad, guys. I was playing video games on Twitch, and I took that off so that people could enjoy the full screen experience. So yeah, I mean, listen, man, we got the whole family in here. We got, this must be the barrister. This is the barrister. That's probably his assistant. They got the quill. They got the quill right here in the ink. And this is the marriage contract. Something that, God forbid you mention this today, by the way. You know, the closest thing that we have to that is the prenup. And a lot of folks just get, you know, chased out of the room the minute you want to bring that up. But this is the marriage contract, and it's being read aloud to both sides of the family here. So we got this older gentleman. This is, you know, this is dad here. This is dad. And we got this older gentleman here. This could be the other dad, you know what I mean, of the bride. There's what looks like the bride, and there's mom here. And this strapping young lad seems to be the groom here, and there's the bride-to-be, there's the groom. There's some other witnesses there. And yeah, that's how it was done. This is what monogamy looks like right here, people. This is what monogamy in a civilized society looks like. I just wanted to share that. So thank you, Peter Wright, again for the artwork. Let me go ahead and pull up our next one for the night.
Your dowry, it's my right.
Surprised we made it almost a half hour without me hitting that button once. And here's our next one. And this one is going to be called, this is called The Dowry. This is a 19th century Russian painter, Vasily Pukyrev. Apologies to my Russian viewers out there who are cringing at my pronunciation. I hope I got the Vasily part right. Yeah, and this is how they were doing it in Russia. And you could see right here, we got a real life dowry chest. Oh, I know that's kind of not easy to see right there. We got all the linens in the background, man. That's going to be most of the linens right there. We got this stuff, and they're getting it packed in there, you know. Plus, who knows what else. There's probably going to be some money and some gold, depending on where they're at in the hierarchy here. Look at these fine, civilized folks making monogamy happen the way monogamy is supposed to happen. So, yes, there we go. Wanted to share that with y'all. So that's our artwork for tonight. I'm trying to have artwork, you know, amongst not just like articles and stuff, even though I love articles. But I think the artwork is pretty nice. You know what? We're going to save the Stingy Men for a little later. What I want to do is... oh, what the heck is this? Man, there's so many ads tonight. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. We've had to go all the way to the archive for this. Okay. So this is 2015, and this is the Red Archive. So they have, like, you know, backups of anything that was Red Pill before it got, like, taken off by the internet, because you know how that is. And this is from December 4th, 2015, Why We Should Reinstitute the Dowry by one Max Roscoe. And then we have another one here in 2020, April 8th. Okay, so this is a piece of manosphere history when it was still written. And we're going to look through, I mean, yeah, I think I'm going to actually spend the time and read the whole articles to you guys. This is from Captain Capitalism, who I believe is Aaron Clary. I believe Aaron Clary wrote this article. Okay? So that would be interesting to hear his opinion on that in 2025. This was published 5 years ago. I gotta hope, yeah. And then this one was 10 years ago. So there has been some discussion of it in the form of pretty easily digestible, article forum here. So pretty cool. I think maybe we can start with let's start with the older one. We're going from history. This is from Max Roscoe. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him, but he seems like he was somebody in the space a long time ago. Okay. Marriage rates are declining. Look at this beautiful family there. Wow. Now that's obviously some royalty somewhere, but look at them. Look at all that stuff going on. Marriage rates are declining, and some sociologists fear that an entire generation is choosing to opt out of marriage. You know what's crazy? Like, I love that this was written 10 years ago, and we can now compare it to 2025. This was on the Return of Kings forum, by the way. And we're familiar with Return of Kings. That's Roosh V's forum, and no longer is. I would have loved if the article was still there to have seen the comments, but it's not there. So, and some sociologists fear that an entire generation is choosing to opt out of marriage. While there are many causes, from the financial and personal risk of divorce to the fact that men can today receive any benefits a woman could offer him without marrying her, to the simple fact that virgin brides are in such scarce supply, one step that would go towards reinforcing a patriarchal family unit is to reinstitute the dowry. Okay, so, I mean, we're not strangers to that over here, right? I mean, you already know, we know what that is.
Your dowry, it's my right.
What is the dowry? All right. The dowry is money or property delivered to a husband by the bride's family upon marriage. Now, it's a pretty simplistic way of saying that. Really, it's the daughter's inheritance, and it is it's endowed to her, right? And then once you're married, that creates this conjugal fund and conjugal estate. But, there are many places and times where, yes, it is given over to the groom for management. He has usufruct over it. And that's true in a lot of places. Yo, it's Demon. Hey, shout out to you, it's Demon, man. Thanks for coming in. It's my buddy from the UK. And he actually, years ago on my Twitch, would come in and say this, and then this became a sound effect from years ago.
You're an absolute legend, mate.
So shout out to my buddy in the UK who's currently witnessing all those protests. And he did send me some links on these ongoing protests over there right now in London. Maybe we'll look at that. It's kind of not related, but maybe we'll look at that. Shout out to you again, it's Demon. It's great to see you here, man.
You're an absolute legend, mate.
And thank you for that sound effect from many years ago. It still lives on in my sound effects board. W. Dontavius for being wise beyond his years. Absolutely.
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
Exactly. All right. Typically, dowry would consist of real assets of hard value, including gold. Hey, we love that over here. Silver. Shout out to our brother Michael saying diamonds, property, or other valuables. Dowry was a custom practiced throughout the world in many cultures and can be traced back to biblical times. Genesis 31 tells the story of Jacob being deceived by Laban, who tricked him into marrying first one of his daughters and then the other. Withholding the dowry he was due, Laban squandered the money on himself. Now, I don't actually know if he's accurate about this. I'm going to have to go back to Genesis 31. But I have been reading some other books on, ancient marriage transactions. And the case of Laban and Jacob marrying Rachel and Leah, I believe were his daughter's name, is that Jacob did a 7-year bride service for not for both of them, but for each of them. So I think he labored for Laban for 14 years to marry them. So I'm not sure if this is the correct interpretation of the story because he paid a bride price by doing a bride service. But I'm going to have to look at it again. So this is generally classified as him paying the mohar by doing that. I don't know what he means by deceived. I'm going to have to look into that and double check that. Thanks, man. Love you. Love you too, man. You're a legend. Well, you're the one who said it.
You're an absolute legend,
I got to
mate.
use that sound effect more. And shout out to Michael saying, Silver, thanks for the shout out. Absolutely. Great to see you here, Michael. Dowry provides a safety net for women. One of the original purposes of a dowry was to provide for the woman in cases of death of the husband, divorce, or extreme cases of abuse. This was in a time where women could not legally hold property with the exception of dowry. The dowry could revert back to the woman in certain circumstances, and the woman would have an insurance policy knowing that she was not totally and completely dependent on her husband. And we've seen a lot of that in the newspaper articles. Code of Hammurabi. Dude, I'm surprised. This guy actually did a pretty deep dive to know that it was in here and put it in here, because this was, the Code of Hammurabi was one of the things that when I finally was reading that, because it actually, believe it or not, has like one of the first mentions of child support. At least that's how I interpreted it. That's one of the things that pushed me to look deeper into the bride price and dowry, because it has both of them mentioned in there, not just the dowry or just bride price. The Code of Hammurabi, Babylonian law, written in the 1750s BC. It's a long time ago. That's how long this has been happening.
Your dowry, it's my right.
Provides one of the earliest forms of written law in human history. Indeed, fully 1/3 of this code details rules for marriage, divorce, inheritance, and sexuality. See, most of us are familiar with eye for an eye, and that's all they ever tell you, in school. But 1/3 of the stuff in there has to do with marriage, divorce, inheritance, and sexuality. It's like they're figuring out agriculture and they're figuring out irrigating all this stuff. And they're like, oh, this is what we're going to be doing. Well, 1/3 of the laws needs to be about this if this is going to work. Because if we can't get this figured out, then we might as well just be, barbarians out here. All right. So anyways, the code states if a woman quarrel with her husband saying, you are not congenial to me, the reasons for her prejudice must be presented. Hey, look, that sounds like at-fault divorce. If she is guiltless and there is no fault on her part, but he leaves and neglects her, abandonment, then no guilt attaches to this woman. She shall take her dowry and go back to her father's house. See, that's not 1750s AD. That's 1750s BC. Shout out to the ancient humans. All right. Sorry, it's Demon. The explanation thing only works on Twitch, and it's not even working there anymore because I haven't done it for a while. While one must chuckle at the attempts to use logic and reason in dealing with female behaviors, this was nevertheless an early protection for women who were abused or abandoned. Dude, you guys remember this meme? I haven't seen this meme in a long time. Traditional marriage was an agreement between two men. I know Michael Sayan's loving that right now. Michael Sayan is loving that. The code further laid out rules such that marriage was a contract. Like any other sales contract for the man and wife. Michael Sayan is just like doing cartwheels in his living room right now listening to this. For the man and wife to be together in exchange for the... Modern anthropology might, take umbrage with this, but let's just go with it. In exchange for the dowry. It was allowed that a husband could have sexual relations with the maid provided by the wife, and concubines were almost equal to wives, with the caveat that the first wife always had priority. And we've known this. I've presented, evidence from several places that what differentiates a concubine from a wife is the dowry, essentially. Men were also free to sire children by any of their slave girls, and these children would be free. Perhaps the USA could have avoided a whole civil war if we relied on this rule, as importing of slaves was no longer allowed. And siring slave children who then became free is a far easier way of ending slavery. The code, while primitive in some respects by today's standards and requiring equivalent punishment fitting the crime an eye for an eye, was nevertheless more advanced and progressive in other ways than our laws today. Intent, for example, was of supreme importance, which would knock out the majority of regret grape cases we hear about today. If a guy didn't think he was graping a girl and didn't intend to violate her, it would be very difficult for her to prove that an assault happened just because the woman later regretted the experience. See, that's what they were dealing with in 2015. I think they were starting to get a lot more things about that in the news. Dowry in the Roman Empire. Dowry was a part of almost every marriage and was seen as the bride's family's contribution to the costs involved in setting up a new household. Yes, this is one of the major purposes of a dowry. That the husband would now be expanding. Logically, we all know that we can live simpler, cheaper, and more frugally alone than with the woman. I mean, are my MGTOW guys out there? Is that true? Is that true? I think it's true. Oh my gosh. And ancient elders recognized the financial costs of bringing a woman into the household, with dowry being the assistance. And remember, the difference between a bride price is that women contributed most of the labor value to agriculture back then. And then in dowry times, it changed where their labor value was not as much as that of men's. Ancient elders recognized the financial costs of bringing a woman into the household, with dowry being the assistance. The dowry was a substantial financial burden and often would be paid over a 3-year period by the bride's family. One cannot help but note the impact this would have on the father of the bride and how seriously he would consider the vows to marriage and the importance of ensuring the virginity of his daughter. You know what's interesting? I actually found a passage in a book that I'm actually reading that discusses chastity and dowry in the relationship. Now, am I going to read this whole thing to you? The answer is yes, that I am going to read this whole thing. This is page 39 in a book called The Marriage Bargain that came out in 85. Her father and her dowry became the chief protectors and guarantors of a girl's sexual purity. And society recognized in the undowered woman a threat to its moral stability. The Genoese chronicler Giorgio Stella claimed, Italians, this is your history right here, claimed that the ruin of patrician fortunes at the beginning of the 14th century, by depriving girls of their dowries and thus delaying marriages within the city, had forced many women to stain their bodily honor in venal commerce, driven by property that teacher of corruption. Perhaps rather like those Lydian prostitutes Herodotus noticed, who converted their profits into dowries. Okay, so, I mean, listen, man, when you got a dowerless woman out here, prostitution is not that far away. Prostitution is not that far away. This is hoping they can find a decent job somewhere and not have to resort to that. But people a long time ago realized this. Such considerations undoubtedly lay behind the dowering of poor girls as an increasingly popular form of private and public charity, and the insistence of governmental leaders and ecclesiastical authorities on a father's obligation to dower his daughters. The petition to King Joan I, that's probably pronounced differently, in 1390 by Eulalia, the daughter of a Barcelonolese, oh God, I'm trying to say Barcelona with the E's at the end of it. Barcelonolese notary whose refusal to dower her had left the woman unmarried into her late 20s. I mean, where have we seen that before? Pretty much everywhere when you walk outside. Brought the decision that her father must supply her with a fitting dowry. A decision that both the governments of the Italian communes and jurists would have defended. Pope Benedict XII viewed as sufficient grounds for allowing the marriage, contracted within the forbidden decree of consanguinity, between the Genoese patrician Troppa Cataneo and his poor but aristocratic bride, Selvaggia Lercari, the fact that the groom had constituted the wife's dowry. This obviously shameful defect was better kept within the family. Yes, not having a dowered daughter is a defect on the family. Generally, however, fathers committed themselves to giving chaste, dowered daughters into marriage. The growing association between dowry and chastity may be one reason why aristocratic Italian fathers, unlike Lombard ones, who had allowed their daughters to grow old at home, so often married their daughters off at puberty. A father's concern for the sexual behavior of his daughter continued, however, beyond her marriage. Now, this part's interesting. For the adulterous woman lost to her husband the dowry that might otherwise, in the absence of children, have reverted to her own kin. In the dodal world of the Mediterranean, there was an economics of shame. So her father still had an incentive to make sure that she was chaste even after she was married, because if a woman was found to be adulterous, she would lose her dowry, at least in Italy. We're talking about, old school Italy out here. The husband would then keep it because she would have, that's their conjugal fund. She would have committed fault here. And it'd been like, oh, okay, well, this is for the family. You done messed up out here. And that's how it goes. And you remember, guys, from that Italian newspaper article that I read to you guys a couple weeks ago, it mentioned the same thing, right? And feminists were trying their best to get rid of dowry laws because of that. Because now divorce was becoming a thing in Italy in the 70s. So anyways, fun stuff there. Fun stuff there. Oh my gosh. Just trying to get rid of my passages here. Let me look at the chat real quick before I get back to the meat here. Oh gosh, I've missed a lot of them. I'm sorry, guys. Michael saying with the super chat. Hey, thanks. Shout out to you, Michael. For all the Bible and bride prices doing cartwheels. Yeah, Michael Sayan's loving this right now. He's having a blast. Michael says Laban was the brother of Rebekah, similar with Rebekah and Isaac. Laban tricked Jacob after he worked 7 years for Rachel. Laban had his older daughter put in a veil and lay with Jacob instead. Oh, I see. Okay, so he was trying to get someone else, and then he put her in a veil, and they ended up kind of doing the thing. And then because they did the thing, it fused them together in that way, so there was no going back. He did end up getting with another one of his daughters, so I mean, it couldn't have been that bad. I'm sure they figured it out amongst themselves. You know? Alimony is the new slavery. I mean, yeah, you can also throw child support in there, you know, and there are definitely some instances where I think you can prove that. Loving it indeed, especially in a no-fault especially in a no-fault divorce. Absolutely true. I ain't that good. The savings in toilet paper alone is worth it. Shout out to you, man. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Exactly. All right, moving on back to this now. Dowry was a part of almost every marriage and was seen as the bride's family's contribution to the costs involved in setting up a new household. That the husband would now be expanding. Logically, we all know that we can live simpler, cheaper, and more frugally alone than with the woman. Let me just get some of my refrigerated water out. And ancient elders recognized the financial cost of bringing a woman into the household, with dowry being the assistance. Shout out to dowry for the assist. The dowry was a substantial financial burden and would often be paid over a 3-year period by the bride's family. One cannot help but note the impact this would have on the father of the bride and how seriously he would consider the vows to marriage and the importance of ensuring the virginity of his daughter. And we just saw a second source for that. Well, a source for that. This is an article, but you know what I mean. Dowry in Europe. Here's St. Nicholas. Shout out to St. Nicholas in our favorite dowry legend. You know how we like this. There's St. Nick, and he's dropping it there. And, you know, there we go. Oh, my God. There they are. Amazing. Fantastic. This is, 1425 here. Christmas legend. Dowry was practiced throughout Europe for much of its history until recently. In England, a marriage would be canceled if the bride's father failed to deliver the dowry. Yes, exactly. Because that really makes a marriage right there.
Dowry, it's my right.
If she don't got a dowry, like, what marriage? What are you even talking about? Like, what? I don't even get why you're using the word marriage right now if you're not also saying dowry somewhere in that sentence. Okay? Grapists would be required to pay the dowry of a woman they violated, and if debts were unpaid, you went to debtor's prison. How about that? The Christmas story of Santa Claus comes from St. Nicholas throwing gold into the stockings of 3 poor sisters. Right there, this is our picture. In order to provide for their dowries. Remember the next time you see stockings hung up by the chimney with care that this is a celebration of dowry. Some of the larger dowries paid throughout history included the entire cities of Mumbai, India, and Tangier, Morocco, which the Portuguese king offered as the dowry to King Charles II of Britain to marry his daughter. Dowry continued in many European societies, ending only recently. Greece outlawed it in 1983. Dowry in the USA. Dowry existed both the native tribes and the American colonists. When Pocahontas married an English settler, she brought considerable land and assets as her dowry. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Shout out to Pocahontas. When John Hull, mintmaster in Boston in the 1600s, gave his 18-year-old daughter in marriage, he paid her weight in silver to the groom. In the 1900s, dowry continued primarily among the wealthy, and American daughters who wished to marry aristocrats from Europe would be expected to deliver a large dowry. We saw that in the newspaper articles, guys. I don't know if you remember that. But they even put it in the Senate, I think in New York in Congress, because there was so much money leaving the U.S. back for Europe through these women's dowries.
Your dowry. It's my right.
Dowry in Asia. Dowry was practiced throughout many Asian societies. Ironically, while Western nations began removing the custom of dowry, it only grew in acceptance in much of Asia. Today, dowry is relatively common in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Egypt, Morocco. As these nations have developed and many Southeast Asian men have obtained advanced training and skills, their families have demanded greater dowries for brides who will share in the financial rewards of their husbands. All right, now we're in practical reasons for the dowry. What are some reasons to bring back the dowry? Hey, we got a whole song called Bring Back. Well, it's Shah's bold endeavor, but number one, recognition of the true cost of marriage. Dowry recognizes that the groom is taking on a financial, not to mention emotional burden by taking a bride, and dowry attempts to level the playing field a bit, right? This is how you solve hypergamy, right here, all right? A wiser use of dad's money. Man, I miss these old comics. This one says, I fully costed my wedding plans, Dad. And then she's showing her dad the invoice and it says, all your savings. The new family could start out with a nice nest egg, land to build a house on, assets and cash, or they could just blow 20 grand on a crappy DJ and some overpriced dresses. Reinforces the value of virginity. A dowry is a significant financial commitment, and a father would not risk the loss of his investment because his daughter was impure. Clearly states the value of marriage. While this was more obvious in the past, when a woman would be more of a burden on her father or husband, a dowry recognizes that marriage is the end goal because the father will have to keep supporting the daughter financially until she finds a husband. Protects women in case of neglect. I mean, it's that, or it's going to be like St. Nick's daughters was about to have happen to them. You know what I'm saying? Protects women in case of neglect, abandonment, or divorce. A dowry is an insurance policy for women who are in a truly bad marriage. Discourages divorce. Women today can financially benefit from divorcing a husband, and there is no test of love or neglect required. A woman, Luke was mentioning no fault here earlier. A woman can divorce because feelings and find herself receiving a free income for life. In the case of dowry, a woman would forfeit her dowry and have to pay again to a second husband if she attempted to divorce or remarry. See, again, this is the check on hypergamy right here. And this also stops branch swinging because it makes the cost of branch swinging very high. And here you go. You got this interesting thing. And this is a kind of this is a propaganda against the dowry in India. This is when they're trying to sway public opinion. In the 60s, they outlawed dowry in India. And this is why some of the Indian feminists who've recently found my discussion with Anya Shak aren't too happy with me. Demanding, giving and taking, helping in giving and taking, advertising for dowry is an offense. These offenses are punishable with imprisonment or fine or both. See, this is all pretty much, feminist propaganda. Feminists hate dowry. Listen, folks, if this ain't a reason to put this front and center, I don't know what is. And you're about to see some feminist anger. You know what? We might even go. Well, I want to read Clary's article after this, and then we'll go to the feminist anger. It got like handcuffs, and it looks like dowry and all that. Now, again, if y'all will read some of these, if you guys will read some of these women's literature, you'll see some of them actually really like this. But we'll get to that later. Finally, if feminists hate it, it must be good. Social media is full of anti-dowry propaganda. Considering that dowry was originally instituted as a protection for women who upheld their end of the marriage contract, one must be very suspicious of this opposition. Very suspicious indeed. Indeed, in several countries, men are threatened with imprisonment for taking part in this institution that is fundamentally a part of marriage itself. I can't stress that enough. This is fundamentally part of marriage. Like, this is part of marriage. I really don't even believe you can have marriage, frankly, at this point, without it. Like, yeah, I get it. There's the spiritual aspect of marriage, but all throughout history, even in places that, this spirituality was the heyday of it, you can say, or, so many people were that religion, a marriage wouldn't happen without it. It's a shame we don't see any of the defensive marriage types rally to support dowry. Isn't this such a good point? These are the tradcons right here, right? The defense of marriage types. These are the tradcons. You never hear them say this.
Your dowry. It's my right.
Where are these people when you really need them to defend marriage? You know what I mean? I'm missing a lot of chats, guys. I'm going to have to look at them later. So, you know, here's some more feminist stuff. We're going to need some stats on that. I love that. So, yeah, given some shine here, you know, given some recognition to some of these older folks in the manosphere 10 years ago, Max Roscoe. Shout out to him. Next one's going to be who I believe is Aaron Clary, Captain Capitalism. The case to bring back dowries. This is 5 years after this. Focus, if you will, solely on the financial and economic. Forget principles, morality, ethics, and philosophy, and merely focus on transactional economics. Labor, money, time, cash, a pure accounting of labor committed versus labor received. And what you will realize is that nearly every man today has a right to demand a dowry.
Your dowry. It's my right.
There it is. You hear that word? Right. That's how you got to look at dowry. It's your right. Especially if you're going to sit here and be the provider. You know what I mean? This is how it needs to happen. Okay? If you don't know or never knew what a dowry was, it was a payment the father usually made to his would-be son-in-law to take his daughter off his hands and care for her into the future. This was based on the premise that women did not work would stop working when they got married. Because a lot of these women were working, helping their family save up for a dowry for them. Then when they got married, then, you know, they backed off of that. And, you know, the man started doing what he's supposed to do, you know, depending on which value system you adhere to there. This was based on the premise that women did not work, would likely bear children, would stay home to rear said children, and would, in a purely accounting sense, be a financial liability to the family, earning no income. And so the would-be husband would be entitled, if not required, to some kind of financial recompense to take the financial liability of a woman off the hands of her father. Fast forward 300 years later, and I ask a very simple question. How is it any different today? If there was a time, and honestly, in some places, not even 300 years, if there was a time young women were not a financial liability but an asset, it was the boomers and Gen Xers. These women were workers. They were employed, and they did take care of themselves. But today's generation of young women who are also at the age of marriage do not present young male suitors a similar financial proposition or condition. Matter of fact, most young women today are horrifically bad financial liabilities, and any young man who commits to them risks tanking his own finances. I mean, frankly, there is enough examples of that, especially when you start seeing the kind of debt some of these folks have out here. You know, when it comes to like student debt and all that kind of stuff and financial, you know, student loans. It's pretty bad out there. It is pretty bad. You know what I mean? So here we are. This isn't primarily due to young women not working. They most certainly do, and at labor force participation rates higher than any generation of women past. But the financial liability nature of most young women today is due to student loans and the education scam that destroys their finances. Young women, too cowardly to commit to a real degree like STEM, are lured too easily to go $120,000 in debt for worthless liberal arts degrees that offer them no employability. Worse, the indoctrination they receive in college weaponizes them against men. Instead of making them partners and lovers in life to help one another, and with the repeated indoctrination that women should never rely on a man, the end result is not only often a girl who is a financial risk, but is a girl no man wants. Indebted, talentless, unemployable, and ideologically programmed to be against men, marriage, family, and love. Even women trained in STEM who are eminently employable are oftentimes indoctrinated to be antagonistic towards men, increasing the risk of divorce, adding a huge legal risk to a financial one as well. Traditionally, logically, and accountingly, such a proposition would require some kind of financial compensation for the legal and financial risks of committing to a modern-day Western woman. And today, young men, or any man, is well within his rights to demand such a modern-day dowry. This is where the gold pill starts coming in. But since most Boomer and Gen X fathers have no money and are likely financially compromised through matrimony as well, demanding a dowry today is moot. Aww. No father today, and this is why the gold pill is a thing, by the way. Because we have said many times that, we know we're not going back, but we have to figure out something different moving forward. No father today is going to pay a dowry, quote unquote. Besides, you're asking to marry his precious little princess, and nothing's too good for daddy's little princess. Thus, demanding such a dowry is going to be a non-starter. This leaves us at an impasse. Most men simply cannot afford to take on that risk, and even with dowry, the non-financial risks are just as costly and daunting as the financial ones. Yes, at the same time, men are biologically programmed, nay, compelled to want to get married and have kids. And so what is likely going to happen is what's been happening for quite some time now. Men are balking. They're going to punt. All right, shout out to all my MGTOW guys over there. That's pretty much what's been happening, frankly. We have said plenty of times on this channel, all roads lead to MGTOW, but, another one for the MGTOW folks. The increase in cohabitation and the abandonment of marriage is a sign of men waking up and eschewing the legal and financial risks of marriage presents to them. Okay, well, that's maybe a little different. So it's not just MGTOW, but it's also just avoiding the legal aspect. Simply punting on marriage and family formation, and family formation, postponing them until men have their personal finances together is another consequence of this. Men abandoning it altogether and women opting to start their own family through IVF is a third. Those are the single moms by choice right there. We saw the subreddit. And such marriage avoidant behavior will continue as the internet educates men about the unacceptable legal and financial risks marriage presents to them. Or frankly, they just saw their dad get butchered in divorce court. I mean, that's a lot of people, frankly. A lot of young men, saw that happen, unfortunately. And so what we've seen this past 20 years, certainly the past 10 will continue. With no theoretical dowries and marriage being such a bad deal, more and more men will simply leave the marriage market because they can't afford it. What relationships show promise will end up in cohabitation, but nothing as traditional as till death do us part. Most, again, ending after a few years. Young men who typically have precarious finances themselves will choose Maslow's hierarchy of needs of food, clothing, and shelter to survive, rather than risk their ability to feed themselves on a family that has a 50% chance of ending in divorce, and there is seemingly no signs of the training women receive to not need a man abating. Women are currently, and will be further programmed to never rely on a man, viewing them once again as adversaries, making them less feminine overall, and therefore less desirable to men. What I don't think most people realize about marriage, particularly women, is that the price of marriage has been so skewed, so inflated these past couple generations, it's more costly than men's biological hardwiring is strong. I mean, really, it's another way of saying the juice ain't worth the squeeze. And whereas you may think you have a monopoly on this product of marriage, family, love, the empirical data is showing men are punting. Nudie videos, neat dumb, lack of exercise, video games, the decrease in marriage, or just confirmed bachelors, men are indeed leaving the traditional marriage market. It's not what they want to do, but what they're forced to do. Unfortunately, for any trade to happen in economics, both parties need to be better off after the transaction. I think that's such a great point right there. And that's one thing I try to say too. It's like marriage is supposed to be this mutual investment. I guess I struggle in saying supposed to be. Who am I to say that? But it's just both parties, especially when you look at the dowry system, both parties are bringing something, and by them being paired together, it puts them in a much better position than they were in individually, so that they can then, get a really good boost here and have a much better shot of reaching a much higher potential than if they were both on their own. So, as a mutual investment, I like that way of seeing it, You need to consider whether the price you're demanding can be willingly afforded or afforded at all by the counterparty. And given all the risks associated with marriage, as well as the financial, psychological, emotional, even political risks women are bringing to the table these days, it's doubtful even dowries will convince men to return to the bargaining table. Uh-oh. All right, well, so there, check out Aaron's. Oh, so it was Aaron. Yeah, it is Aaron Clary. So, yeah, shout out to Aaron Clary for this. I would love to have a conversation with him, about this specific article and just go over some of the more, the more recent stuff and like the different newspaper clippings and stuff, man. That would be a fun one. That'd be a fun one right there. So I just wanted to share that to you guys, man. That's a fun piece of history. Let me look at the chat real quick and then we'll see what this Indian feminist is mad about. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Michael Sainz, or Luke says, I don't like the bride price mainly because women aren't working for their families anymore, and the man husband isn't gaining work now either. In fact, it's all a loss for the guy. I see what happens in China, that they still use it and it is destroying China. Okay. Bride price is not about work and income. That's new, and with anthropological opinions, it was designed to be forever, not based on plow and hoe. Those are differing opinions. I tend to lean more towards the anthropological side. Michael Sayin, I believe, is a biblical scholar, so he looks at things differently. Luke Nielsen says, I hope I got that right, Michael, in terms of your background there. Luke Nielsen says, maybe so, but it is certainly all about the man paying for a black hole and paying for the rest of their life too. Well, I mean, and that's where the gold pill conversation becomes more interesting because, I mean, again, we're still living in an environment of family laws that are fundamentally different to what they were traditionally, since we have no fault in these things. So it's about trying to get them to invest into something, at least if you're going to do something long-term with them. So at least now in modernity, I'll just move on. See, how does one verify virginity? Well, definitely a lot harder now, I'd say, maybe even in the past. I would say, part of me would want to think that there was a higher risk of pregnancy back then, as opposed to now, where women have a lot more options to put the kibosh on that. So, you would probably hear about something happening. I don't know. So I guess, and it might also depend on the community and possible accusations and stuff like that. I really don't know. That's a good question, though. That's a good question. Well, there can be a physical check. Used to be a thing in traditional cultures. Try that now. Oof. And now they have special surgeries to repair that. Yeah. Nowadays, forget about it. The Bible says there must be blood on the blanket after he breaks. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, here it is. Deuteronomy. Is that Deuteronomy 22? Then the father and mother of the young woman shall take and bring out the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. Okay. Elena says women are not an instrument, they are a liability. This is all contingent on the father being present in the home to begin with. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the other problem. It's just like most of these people are either going through divorce or dealing with some kind of custody thing. A lot of these people are. Maybe I shouldn't say most, but a lot of these people are. So there is this huge gap there of the father's involvement to begin with. And frankly, the lawyers are getting the dowry money, because what happens is when the divorce happens, the whole family's nest egg gets juiced for the family law system, basically. So that's a shame. Absolutely, women are a liability. The only return are children and family, but they are also liabilities. Let's see. I agree, dowry may not be enough to convince men. It'll be very hard to convince men who, definitely grew up in this situation. That's how it's supposed to be. Mutual benefit, building a family, familial wealth and legacy, but that isn't happening anymore. Courts, lawyers, juice the inheritance, leaving the kids paupers. Exactly. Yep, you said it before I did. Yep. Now I do mention that like a lot, but I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you wrote that before I just said it like a few minutes ago, but that's really what happens. And anybody who's you know what? I have an Instagram thing. There's this guy, he talks about child support on Instagram. I follow him. Child support is fraud. And he's just showcasing somebody's lawyer bill, right? And like, look how crazy this is.
So I'm at my nephew's football game, and one of my guys just sent me this. This is his child support attorney bill. $87 to read an email.
Look at this. Look at this. Entry of appearance with the court, 175. Emails received / sent. Damn, even for emails received, $87.50 for an email. And it's like, and then there's another one, $87.50. Emailed, received, review documents, $175. I mean, okay, review and documents, you know, fine. But there's these other emails, $87.50, $87.50, $87.50. Now, whether or not that's fair or not for the attorney, you know, I get it. There's probably some legalese in some of this, you know, whatever. But all that stuff adds up. And I can tell you personally, I have seen it. I've heard it. When I worked as a child support officer, I used to have attorneys call me. And listen, I knew these guys were in the game for a long time because I'd see them work in so many other cases. Like certain names would become familiar. And some of them would try to talk to me on the phone for as long as possible about stuff that I knew and that they knew was not relevant even to the case we were dealing with. Like stuff that we both knew had no bearing on the case, even though it was about the two people. And listen, man, they were paying me by the hour, and I wasn't going to sit here and be rude and hang up on this guy. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's calling my supervisor and saying your employee's rude. And then I'm in there having a conversation with them about customer service and all that kind of stuff. So I'd sit there and they would purposely try to talk to me for like a good hour. And I knew why they were doing it. And so that they can bill the customer and be like, you know, $450. Yeah, I had a whole conversation with them and I told them exactly how it is. You know, all that stuff we've been talking about and all the stuff, the nasty stuff she's been doing to you. So they know down there. And, you know, I made sure to tell them. And they're banking off the client being so ignorant of the law, knowing that none of that stuff matters. And this guy's just telling his attorney all this stuff because he doesn't know who to tell it to. And he thinks it's going to matter on some moral sense. And then this guy's trying to have a bigger bill on his client. You know what I mean? So he's telling me the whole story. And I'm sitting here getting paid by the hour just listening to the story because here we are. And, you know, that's what they were doing. So they're just totally juicing the melon on that one. Anyways, yeah.
Look how many 87s for me sending and receiving the email. $87. Crazy. To open the email? Childsupportersfraud.com.
Shout out to him. I follow him on Instagram. Every now and then I see his stuff. So look at the comments. All that money could have gone to a savings for the children. That's what I always thought too. Like again, this is their inheritance. This is the nest egg. This is the dowry right here, and it's just all going away. It's falling into a pit like Mario, you know, and that's what happens to it. So yeah. Oh gosh, let's see the comments. Child support or the attorneys don't care about us. They just want our monies. Man, I fired my lawyer on the first invoice. That looks similar to mine. I know a guy who can go through these bills and find overcharging. Oh gosh. So fire them by no consent contract and wants of prosecution. Yet there's always someone green screaming, all you have to do is go to court if you really want to see your kids. The cost of trying to see your children. And, you know, we know this from watching, you know, what Father X discussed on his channel. Seem like more than child support is fraud. You're better off with ChatGPT. Can't you get the other side to pay your legal fees? I know I'll try. That is a very ambitious and hopeful individual right there. And still don't help those men. Child support lawyers won't even win you a case. They are sellout, incompetent, and have conflict of interest. Anyways, yeah, so, you know, that was relevant right there. Yeah. Anyways, okay. So moving on, guys, we're gonna get to this lady who's not happy with me. She went to Ask Indian Men. This was 6 days ago. Thank you, iTrevor. Thank you, iTrevor, for sending this to me. All right. It didn't get much play, but she was really trying, you know what I mean? This lady, her brain is scrambled. And we know that because of the subreddits she's visiting. Purple pill debate. You know, oh gosh. Now where is the, and that's all, where is the, oh, so 6 days ago. Dang, this is one active. This person must be getting paid to do this. Let me tell you. My God. Oh, wait, hold on. Those are comments. Let me look for posts real quick. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Here it is right here. Look. So she posted it here. I didn't really go nowhere. And then she posted it here. Look, and then she's talking about Paul Elam. It's just so random. Oh, look, yeah, this one's about me too, but it's about Paul Elam and my discussion with Paul Elam. Interesting. This one's on Against Men's Rights. Wow, there's a whole Against Men's Rights subreddit. Look at this, man. These people are full of hate. The hate flows through them. Ask Indian Women. Look. Then there was a Ask Indian. So we got Ask Indian Men and we got Ask Indian Women. All right, that's enough of that. Now, how do I know she's an Indian woman? Well, it says right here, Indian woman. Okay. And, you know, I don't know if Karan Takar is in here, but we have some of our Indian viewers from India. They might not be here today, but they usually keep me abreast of what's happening over there, which I appreciate. But anyways, let's read what she's got to say. This is a term basically that means guy from the subcontinent. Not exactly, but pretty much. You know, it's you can just translate that to brown guy. Brown guy with subcontinent ethnic background. All right. Desi influencer convinces Gori. All right, we're gonna have to go through some vocabulary here. Gori means white woman. All right, and Gora means white man. Okay, so that's what that means. So she's saying a brown guy influencer convinced a white woman that dowry can save Western civilization, and she agrees. Oh my God, the horror. She agreed. She agreed with me. How could that happen? Do you see this as a positive soft power move for Indian civilization, or is it troubling that eventually her audience will research dowry debts? This is the feminist propaganda right here. And then India will once again be vilified in Western media. I came across this curious video of a Desi American influencer who goes by the moniker This is Shah, who argues that the dowry system is a cornerstone of advanced civilization and the glue that holds society together, especially monogamous society. He goes so far as to assert that all of the progress that Western civilization has made was in large part due to the dowry system. Yes, I have said that. I have said that the West was built on the back of the dowry. Curiously, he gives examples of various European countries, but the mention of India is conspicuous by its absence. I have purposely left out India when I have this discussion here. Sometimes we do talk about it, but not really. And the reason is because I'm trying to present this from a Western perspective, and that this is a Western historical thing, which it is. When most people hear dowry, all they hear is the propaganda of what's going on in India, you know, which they receive probably a lot of money from multinational organizations to help them combat this. And it's probably an industry over there at this point. The point of what I'm doing is I'm explaining Western history to a Western audience and how this made sense here and why it's important and how it makes sense today, you know, and going forward, we should be looking at that. So it's not just some far off foreign thing that's got nothing to do with that. But, you know, she can't understand why that is. Okay. Note how the Gori is just eating all this up and praising him for his vast knowledge. Oh man, now we see what the real issue is, man. She's just hating on me. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. She just couldn't handle it. She saw that and she was like, That's what happened. So we're getting to what's going on here. She is so naive and clueless that she doesn't say, hey, Shah is a Desi name. You look like your parents or grandparents might have immigrated here from India. Or maybe even you yourself have. Tell us how dowry has played out in your own family and ancestral land. Is dowry still practiced in India? A lot of people do practice it. But it was outlawed, so it's been forced underground. And anything that's underground has a lot of problems to it. Okay. Is dowry still practiced in India? If so, is it legal? If not, how is it allowed to carry on? What are some of the complications with the system? I did my research, and dowry debt seems to be a thing in your ancestral land. Can you unpack that for the audience? This is Shah knew he had the right interviewer and the right audience ignorant about world affairs to just accept what he says without question or pushback. He purposely kept India and the state of the modern dowry out of this conversation. If you can stomach it. Oh, God. If you can stomach it.
Do you have the stomach?
And, you know, of course, this is to a video that we all know and love here. And that was my discussion with Anya Shock, which we had a lot of fun. Anyways, yeah, so, yeah, they found me, guys. And let me tell you, you know, Indian feminists could be some of the worst harpies out there. Because they have, like, this sort of inferiority complex where they really want the attention of Western people. So they have to really, like, try to outshine Western feminists. And, like, so their harpiness is, frankly, I don't even know how Indian guys deal with it, man. Shout out to you guys for putting up with that over there. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that it's got to go that way. Now, you know, her point about what happens in India, let me tell you, you know what I mean? It's just like, the dowry doesn't harm people. People harm people. And what happens over there in India is that it's been outlawed since the 60s, but even going through the 90s, 90% of people will still, 90% of people in India still practice the dowry system. They still require it. You know what I mean? And what'll happen is there, you know, people are lying to each other. Since it's illegal, they'll say, I'm going to give you this much dowry. Okay. Then they get married. And then the dowry isn't paid. What the hell are you going to do? Are you going to go to the law and say they didn't pay the dowry? Well, you can't do that because it's illegal over there. So then this creates issues and violence. That's one thing. Then there's the whole problem of false accusations. And this was, Pearl interviewed somebody there in some Indian woman who was like a part of some organization or something for that. And you got a lot of people using this stuff in the law in order to kind of like how they do false domestic violence accusations here, but pretty much to say that, like, yeah, I was abused by the family because they expected a dowry. And then that screws up the whole thing and it really messes it up for the guy over there. I was trying to find something. I had a paper here and the prevalence of it. Oh, this may not be the same one. Yeah, gosh. I had a statistic there in terms of arranged. The vast majority of marriages in India are arranged, and an extensive study found that the marriages of 90% of the women in the workforce and of 98% unemployed women were arranged by their parents. The majority of the women who found their own mates had to get approval from their parents before they got married. Thus, parents have a significant role. So they still do that. There was something in here that also gave, maybe it was a different paper. I can't even find it now. I should have had it. I should have had it pulled up, but that's too bad. Let's see. Oh, here we go. 1996. Dowry is the wealth the bride is supposed to bring with her for her husband and his family starting at the time of the wedding and constituting and continuing during marriage. It takes the form of cash, jewelry, household goods, and so on. Naik, 1996, conducted an extensive study on the prevalence of dowry and found that all his respondents, except 1.3% who did not respond, were either given or received the dowry. That's in the mid-90s. Therefore, virtually every marriage in India involves dowry in some form, even though regional and community differences exist. That's in 1996. That's 30 years after it's made illegal. It's literally illegal in the country. So I'm looking at that, and I think a lot of the problems come in because, frankly, it's an illegal institution. People are still practicing it. And and then there's people are lying. It creates blood feuds, and some people probably, get the old wacky whack. And then there's other people that are just lying about getting abused. So anyways, I think that's could be more of a cultural thing than anything, at least in my opinion. And you know, what you need is laws and good policing. So anyways, let's see what happened here. Oh gosh. Oh, where's the full discussion? Hold on a second. I want to see the comments. You know what's crazy is that the guys actually didn't even upvote it. Like they put it, like she got 27 comments. They're just pretty much annoyed with her. This person actually was like, that influencer is actually the only woman that I feel is genuine, and I have listened to almost all of her videos. It's interesting that this person knows the influencer, but that's pretty cool. There are other daughters of Jordan Peterson, but I find her to be the least motivated by racism or transphobia. If you are a man, do check her videos. You can tell she generally respects and admires men, at least Western men. Dowry was not invented by India. This is the point I'm trying to get across by not focusing on India. West has a lot of issues, so they are trying different things to resolve the gender issues. I don't see how dowry will help, but she is a Western woman, and so I'll let her decide that. What they are fighting against is this techno-capitalist, transhuman, genderless future. That's actually an interesting sentence here. Stop framing your issue with dowry as some sort of question just to appeal to men. You just don't like it. Just say it. There is no need to use the word gori. Stop projecting your issues with white women onto everyone else. This guy, shout out to him. You know what? I'm going to give him the upvote. That's because as an Indian man, you are wholly unfamiliar with their grift. So she tries. And then, you know, he's just like, nah, it ain't working. You know what? There we go. Let's show this guy some support. Some support right here. All right. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so yeah. I thought that was pretty funny. Let me catch up with chat and then we'll move on to the next thing. Let's see. Remember, women are like Lay's potato chips. They never have sex, just one time with one guy. Smokey of Stormwind, recipe Charlie Kirk. Hey, shout out to you, Smokey. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here. Recipe Charlie Kirk. Thank you for a comment. Giovanni English. I don't see the dowry making global comeback, but I wish those who purposely use this method success. Yeah, I mean, as far as like the gold pill perspective goes, it's more about, like, when I first started discussing it, it was more about like my annoyance with tradcons, basically. You know what I mean? And it was to push back on them, especially what they were saying traditional marriage was. So really, it was supposed to be, hey, you're saying this is traditional marriage, but you're wrong about that. This is traditional marriage, right? And then that's how it started. And then, you know, then it became, Mr. Pitt, I see your comment there. I'll put that in there. So, you know, for a long time, there was an acknowledgement that, like, yeah, we're not going back because of technology, the X factor, the change in women's labor value, you can say, and all these, you know, cell phones and all these different things that we got going on over here. Going back to an older system is probably not going to work. But the principles behind it in terms of how a monogamous marriage is supposed to work, and, you know, in terms of mutual investment is the important thing. So whatever form this takes, it's going to look different than probably what it used to be like, unless we all get blasted back into this, you know, Stone Age and we got to rebuild from there. So that's kind of where we're at. With eyes like Cash Patel, how could they not find the guy? I think I know what you're referencing. Oh yeah, that's standard crap. I lived that nightmare. Nickel and dime to the poorhouse. Yup, that's the lawyers. Giovanni English, and they wonder why people don't like law. Cool story, bro. The kids wouldn't be paupers if the mother, in most cases, didn't break up the family. Invoice in the mail. Lawyers charge 15 minutes for every small email, so just saying running late on an email is $87. Exactly. Lawyers are part of the system. Yes, they are. This is how they make money. ROFL, a judge forcing the woman to pay the man's fees. Yeah, that man has a long way to go. I appreciate his passion. I appreciate his ability to think outside the box and wanting to go for it, it's just looking a little unlikely. Michael Sand says, lawyers are the system, Elena. It's the Bar Association having a monopoly on law since the early 1900s. If divorce wasn't a thing, these lawyers wouldn't be making all this money. No, they would not. Remember, Shaw, all you need is to game the judge. Exactly. Always be gaming.
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on
Exactly.
no girl. Just stay gaming.
The Baba thinks she's a superhero. Crash out hard. The family division at the Bar Association is what put out the law books for law universities. Shout out to that. Hey, I got some really good honey from my Russian buddy today. I spent $120 on 2 gallons of honey. And it's my buddy. He's this Russian guy. His father-in-law raises bees and makes honey. And like, I've been buying honey from this guy like once a year for like probably close to like, oh gosh, at least like 8, maybe like 7 years now or so. So I don't exactly know what you're saying there, but you know, shout out to that. Yeah, not my Cyrillic. I can't remember what they call that. Is her brain is scrambled. What else is new? Parasite is the word I use to describe these divorce lawyers. She is criticizing the civilization that was built by our ancestors based on dowry, yet she replies on this civilization to survive. Yeah, there's just so many things that don't make sense there. India feminists are big because they are winning over there. It's horrible, all about human rights. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it is they're kind of maybe a little behind by where we are by about like 10 years, 15 years. So they're kind of like, but it's still different over there in a way because the dowry system is so close. And they do have like the privilege of being able to look at what's happening over here and maybe adjust that way. So, you know, interesting stuff over there. Who is more entitled contest? Worse than white women. I find that hard to believe. I don't know, man. I've seen some pretty insufferable ones. Hello. Hey, shout out Oikofabuk Misanthrope. Great to see you in here. My ex lied about abuse too. Common stuff worldwide. Very true. For the record, I love the dowry. It requires an exchange of value for marriage. Either way, it's important. I am against forced monogamy. Michael, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. That really means a lot. And you know, we do honor the silver pill over here. And I always appreciate your input, Michael. Oh, Peter Wright with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. It means a lot, Peter. And thank you again. Peter sent those amazing paintings and those 2 Red Pill Archive articles there with Aaron Clary and this other guy, Max Roscoe. So thank you again for sending that. And I was, you know, it's pretty cool to share that and just kind of look at kind of how some of this history, even in the manosphere itself, is playing out and how it is. We practice the dowry and the bride price. Engagement rings are the current bride price, and pick-me girls are those willing to pay dowry. The pick-me girls. That's interesting. He says that she's great. W Silverpill. Shout out Silverpill. Base, Peter needs to start making videos for real. I'm waiting. Hey, I have mentioned that. Shout out, Base. Great to see you. I still got to watch your last video. I saw that you posted one. I need to watch that. I will watch that. Yeah, one of these days. Peter, I know, is definitely a writer. I have Peter's, you know, books right here on my desk. And all the articles and all the stuff at gynocentrism.com. But maybe someday we'll get a video. We'll get Peter on camera one of these days. Okay, so moving on to I mentioned a little bit of this early, and this was something that Peter Wright actually sent me also because I sent the Breader Buns video, which I haven't watched it, but I sent that to Peter, and he really enjoyed the video. And I think it's about guys kind of having this demand for dates. And you know, what, like the soft guy era, I look at the dowry conversation as this kind of macrocosmic thing, and then the soft guy era as a kind of microcosmic thing. Which, you know, and it's different. The soft guy era stuff, I think, tends to kind of look at like the front end of dating. You know what I mean? we're kind of looking at marriage and the sort of long-term prospect of it here in terms of family investment. But there are similarities and some differences too. And the soft guy era was kind of about flipping the script on women and really about highlighting just, you know, how annoying dating can be for the average guy. You know what I mean? And there's always this discussion about who should pay on dates. A lot of women don't like 50-50 guys because they want a traditional guy. God forbid, you know, they bring one of these
dowry.
though.
It's my right.
And then there's guys who aren't interested in long-term and just interested in short-term, in which case that's not far off from paying a lady of the night anyways, in which case you may as well be paying, you know, at that point, I guess. But that's still, you know, it's still a little different from regular dating, you know, because you don't know where that's going to end up, but people have different intentions is all I'm trying to say. So we have this video, and then it reminded Peter Wright of this thing called the Stingy Men Association, which kind of got popular in Africa for a bit. See, there's a Stingy Men Association of Ghana. There's one for Nigeria. There's one for Kenya. And this is kind of like a funny thing. And they would make these kind of like videos here. See, so it says 2025 men understood the assignment. And the Stingy Man Association still exists in Africa. So they all hid their money as soon as the women walked by. And then when she's gone, like, they pulled it out again. I don't know why, it's funny. Oh, there's another woman. So, you know, they're being funny. They're being funny guys, you know. This is another one. They even had an Old Spice commercial. Because you are a member of the Stingy Man Association of Uganda, it looks like, and your money is yours, pamper yourself, Zaddy. That was in 2020. Gosh, I should not be scrolling Twitter like this. Here's a Stingy Man Valentine's Day gift. It's just some cardboard flip-flops, but they say Gucci on it. Here's another one right here. This is...
I go do my nails.
So this is what happens when she asks money to go do her nails. This is Stingy.
Can you help me some money? I go do my nails.
This is the arbitrage or the, you know, whatever the passport bros are trying to capitalize on this difference. All right, I think this is what they're doing.
Yes.
So he's gonna give her some money. He's gonna give her some money for her pedicure or whatever.
That's my ogre.
And he hands her a nail clipper. And she's like, what? Oh, let's see that one more time. I'm afraid of things auto-playing on Twitter because of the things that happen.
Baby.
All right, so she's trying to get money to do her nails.
That's my ogre.
And he's like, there you go. I'm going to keep my money, and here's some nail clippers for you. I'm just trying to show you that.
But the process we were seeing how it was going, I was spending.
So this is the spiritual father of Stingy Men. I don't know what this is. I'm taking a chance playing it.
I told you I want to marry you. You told me, let's see how it goes.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, this sounds interesting.
I told you I want to marry you. You told me, let's see how it goes. But the process we were seeing how it was going, I was spending money. Let's see how it goes. Some guys are sick. In this generation we are in now, you've got to be smart.
There you go. Yep, there you go.
Be smart. If you tell somebody you want to marry the person and she says, I'll think about it. When she asks you for money, tell her you too will think about it. You tell somebody you want to marry the person and she says, I'll think about it. When she asks you for money, tell her you too will think.
Yeah, you too should think about it. Yeah, okay. I think you too will think about it. That's what he says. Because he wants to get married and they're like, well, let's see how it goes. You see, he's basically saying when it comes to money.
You tell somebody you want to marry the person and she says, I'll think about it. When she asks you for money, tell her you too will think about it.
Like, yes, I'll think about it too. All right, shout out to him. I gotta watch one more. All right, here's the chairman of the Stingy Man Association of Nigeria. And shout out to my viewer from Nigeria. All right, let's see what he's got to say. I'm being careful because I'm afraid of the autoplay feature. When a video ends on Twitter, another video comes up, and Twitter is not like, you know, the tamest place.
Hello. This is Uncle Vin calling from Stingy Men Association of Nigeria. We heard that you spent more than 2K on your woman. Why? So because of that, all your entitlement, everything, you have been disqualified. Eh? Instead of you to give her 10 naira, even the 10 naira is too much, sir. Instead of you to give her 5 naira.
Okay, so he's calling his brother, and you know they're being funny. There's some funny guys. Okay, they're funny guys. All right, we gotta do one more. Just one more. I'm just having fun looking at these. It's just interesting seeing like another place in the world's kind of like their version of this type of stuff we see. You know what I mean? Like, this is interesting.
You know something, Michael?
When she asks for bones straight and you drive her to something. All right, let's go.
You are so disgusting. Very disgusting. And I cannot believe I am sitting right next to you. Open the car.
I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. I'm sorry, guys. It's making me laugh for some reason. All right, we're going to get to the BBC article. Anyways, stingy men take on Nigeria's dating etiquette. So this was in 2021, so it's been around for a while. You can even say it's before Soft Guy. Okay? Yeah, doom scrolling is not healthy. You're right about that. I ain't that good. I'm going to have to acknowledge that. Women of Nigeria, watch out. The men are in revolt. No longer will they pay for lavish dates. No longer will they provide expensive gifts. No longer will they hand over cash on demand. That is, at least according to the country's Stingy Men Association. It is a fictional creation, a lighthearted response on social media that emerged earlier this year to some male concerns about the cost of dating. It's tough being a man in Nigeria. There is too much pressure on us, 35-year-old Lagos-based journalist Fred Etua told the BBC. Everyone wants so much from you. Men should not be seen as spending machines. We also want to be pampered. Okay, so, you know, he's basically saying, you know, maybe in the way women don't like being seen as a sex object, men don't want to be seen as a success object. And men are starting to reorient themselves over there, at least this group of guys. Another man echoed this, saying on Facebook that he felt he did not get the recognition he deserved for the cash he had spent on dates. Most generous guys are seen as objects to be manipulated, used, and disrespected for their generosity. The buzz the Stingy Men Association generated on social media gave way to an app which allowed those that downloaded it to design their own ID cards. It got more than 50,000 downloads. Oh, so you can download an app and it lets you make a Stingy Men Association ID card. The motto is, let me see what I can do. That's so funny. Let me see what I can do. Identity card. Oh my God. Okay. Members were also expected to swear an oath to give shishi, Nigerian slang for nothing, to women. But women, so it's basically a club that where everybody is basically pledging not to simp, is what it seems like. But some women were skeptical that men could stick to their guns. A view summarized in a tweet showing a photo of an actress in a mini dress accompanied by the words, "I dressed like this to his house and he denounced his membership of the Stingy Men Association." Okay, so she dressed scantily clad and he forgot he was a member. Well, I think that happens to a lot of us sometimes. But like a lot of comedy, this really was about something very serious. How young Nigerian men and women should treat each other in a relationship. Dating in Nigeria can be an expensive business. I had to pay a bill with my watch. There are some young women who appear to expect men to take care of their every needs, which are not cheap. They could demand the latest gadgets, the highest fashions, and the best makeup, setting someone back hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Well, I mean, I wonder what that, like the Nigerian currency exchanges and stuff. That seems like a lot of money. Sorry, I got to eat this honeydew melon because I'm running out of energy here. That was some good melon right there. All right, sorry for that. It's a lot easier to eat while reacting to a video than while reading an article. Their date also has to pay for nights out, which can come with hidden costs. And yeah, you know what? We haven't done a poll in a long time. What is the most you have paid for a date? And I'm not talking about a JUCO style thing. I'm talking about like a legitimate date. What is the most you have paid for a date? And I'm going to put a couple of options here. I'm going to put 0 to 50. I mean, I think that's fair. And I'm going to put 51 to 100. To 100. Okay, and I'm going to add 2 more options. Okay, then we're going to do 100 to 200. Okay, and then we're going to add 1 more option, which is going to be 200 plus. How about that? Is that fair? 200 plus? Well, I mean, you know, I think that's fair. 200 plus. All right. What is the most you have paid for a date? Okay. Hopefully that question was answered fair enough. But anyways, when I was a bachelor, I took a lady out on a date and made a budget for the 2 of us, Mr. Atua said. But she came with her friend and they ate meals I couldn't afford. Oh, what kind of, that ain't even, man. She didn't offer to split the bill, so I had to give up my wristwatch to balance the fee. Oh, man. He was down bad. He was down bad. How much did these women eat? She even refused to date me afterwards. Oh, no. He felt used, but that expectation of a follow-up date reveals something about the dynamic of a dating relationship where money is involved. For some men, there may also be an expectation of sex, and women also feel that pressure. Most young men approach women with what they can offer financially, says 38-year-old Nigerian fashion designer Amarachi Kanu. Usually, their intention of dating is for their own sexual benefit. Women ask for money and gifts as a form of reward in order not to feel used. See, at that point, it may as well just go into JUCO full on, right? But most people aren't really straightforward about their intentions, you know, I guess. And then, but then beyond that, it's not always that, you know, people do want to like be like, they want to feel like that the person actually wants to be with them too. So dating is a way to go with that, because then it seems like, okay, you know, this isn't someone just handing money over to somebody else for sex. It's we like each other, and then, you know, people want relationships and stuff too. So there's a whole spectrum of things over there. But the way this is described is very brass tacks. In many, Mr. Kanu blames men for perpetuating traditional ideas of female dependency. In many countries, it's not odd to see a woman pay bills on a date, but in Nigeria, men make women believe they must be the ones to pay for everything. I think they might have got that backwards, unless they're talking about the Stingy Man Association. She says she found it difficult to have a relationship when she insisted on paying her way. I never had an ex that paid my bills because I have always been an independent woman. Okay, so maybe she has one of these.
Your dowry, it's my right.
This actually made it hard for me to stay in a relationship for long before I eventually got married. No one should base their relationship on a transaction, she adds. Psychologist Anne Uramu in her mid-20s is single and often goes on dates. But she is not bound by the unspoken rules. Most times when I go on dates and the guy wants to pay, I let him, but I make sure I pay on the next outing. Well, there's a lot of claims being made in that sentence. A lot of claims. I always define my values at the beginning of a relationship, and I don't date people who don't have the same understanding with me. I am a Christian, so I believe in sex only in marriage. She may want to get her parents involved in figuring this whole thing out. I don't allow anyone to spend too much on me. As Nigerians move on from the Stingy Men Association social media trend, Mr. Uramu suggests relationships should be based on pure affection. This is the romantic ethos. This may not turn out well for them, and by May, it's not going to turn out well for them. Love should be the key thing in an ideal relationship where partners put each other first and nothing else matters. Love isn't selfish. So both parties should respect and support each other. Okay, we're almost to the end. Miss Kanu agrees that it should be a true... Man, it's so crazy that we got this... Oh, come on, like, let's get back to the stingy man. Miss Kanu agrees that it should be a true partnership where money and sex shouldn't be the only things on offer. Parents also have a responsibility to shift attitudes and train their children to see things differently. Okay, well, they brought up the parents. The reorientation has to start from home, the fashion designer says. That could, however, take some time, but things are changing. There are strong, hardworking women now. So many women take care of themselves financially and even support their men, she says. So not all women are waiting for men to pay their bills. Okay. So that's that. Let's just read a couple more. I don't understand the audacity of some females out here, bro. This is on the Nairobi subreddit. Now tell me why this... I don't even know. Chili always blues or grays me. Taking long to reply. I'll see. Well, anyways, that's the Stingy Men Association. So that can bring us to this. That's what I was trying to get us to with that. I don't know if this is related, but I think Stingy Men Association, soft guy era, and now bread for buns is kind of a related thing. So we're going to find that out as we react to it. I missed a lot of chats here. Let's just look at the poll real quick. Let me just look at the poll. Let's see what we got here. 33% said the most they've paid is $0 to $50. Another 33% said 200 plus. Okay, so on both ends of it. 22% said 100 to 200 and 11% said 51 to 100. Yeah, I mean, I can, yeah, I've been like on different dates, and I have spent anywhere within those ranges. I will even admit that, maybe, sometimes I had crossed over into that $200 Rubicon there. But that's interesting. So, it's a tie basically for 0 to 50 and 200 plus. That's interesting. I used to take my wife on a date every week. I haven't dated since before I was married, back in 1996 earlier. Got it. Yeah, it probably would have been a lot cheaper in 96, but taking the wife on a date, that counts. I'm going to count that. Have any of you gents just walked out on a date and left her with the bill before? I've walked out on, well, not walked out without saying anything, but that would have been before the bill. Like, not that there was a bill coming, but before we even got anything. Just like, hey, pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming out, but this ain't working. I know this ain't going to work. I've done that before, but I haven't like ordered food and then left and then, expected them to pay the bill. That's a bold individual right there. I'm so glad I'm MGTOW monk. So much peace in saving my own stacks of paper. Man, shout out to you, honestly. It's a good thing watching that pile grow, and you're saving and you think about your goals and things that you want to do. And it's nice, like I've been grateful for what I'm doing and saving a little bit of, what I'm trying to do. And it's nice because sometimes you get an idea of something you want to do and it's okay to spend the money. Like, I have been into wanting to bake my own bread lately. And this didn't cost a bunch of money, but, I got some mason jars. I got, I got some sourdough starter. That was $12.99. Then I got some flour. I got some good quality salt. You know what I'm saying? Not the cheap stuff. And I got my sourdough starter going. It's day one. I really hope it turns out how I think it's going to turn out. No, this does not make me trad. Not going for the trad cosplay with the sourdough. I just haven't had that in a long time. And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to have stuff that's probably a bit on the carby side, then I have to challenge myself to make it at home. I also bought an ice cream maker. That was $84. Okay. And then I got some peppermint extract. I got some ice cream salt. I'm going to get some heavy whipping cream, some whole milk. I'm going to get some ice because you got to have ice for that. That's the ice in the ice cream, okay? I do got some sugar. I'm not going to put too much sugar in it, though. That's why I'm making it at home, so I can control. I can see how much sugar goes into it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to try to make my own ice cream when this thing finally gets delivered. So, yeah, anyways, Luke, I don't even know why I went on that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is it's just nice to save your money and have your goals and know what your spending is. And then every now and then, you can just buy a little thing for whatever pet project you got going on and not worry about it too much, That's always a blessing. That's a blessing right there. You know what? Let's see. I haven't. Okay, I read that one. But I am done since I was divorced. Charity girls is a term for young working class women in the late 19th century who engaged in treating, a form of dating where men paid for entertainment and gifts in exchange for sexual favors. Coach Greg Adams does a discussion on that, or he did like a couple years ago, and it was about how dating stems from prostitution. And it was a pretty fun and enlightening discussion by him. So that I think that's kind of the same thing there that you're discussing. And at this point, it's just like I think enough guys have just gotten annoyed with what's kind of happening that's where things like the JUCO, seem to be becoming popular amongst a lot of folks. If she's into you, dates aren't even necessary because she'll want to be where you are. That's true too. I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's how much she's into you, and then it's how much you're into her. And it's just like some women, you might be like, all right, I'll gamble on this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if she's feeling me, but I know I'm feeling her. Like, let me see what I can make happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, and sometimes, maybe you can make some stuff happen. Now, if she's really into you, yes, you can probably get away with doing a lot less. That is true. That is true. Ultimately it is a game of seduction. And different experiences with different women. There's women that might not seem into you, but then they are, and you didn't realize it or something like that. I do think there are differences there. So sometimes it's worth, turning over the stones, you know what I'm saying, see what you find under there and being just thorough in the search. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's worth the gamble in the sense of like, I'm just chilling today. I kind of feel like doing something. I really don't know what's up with this, but I'm going to go just do it because I feel like getting out of the house, and this gives me a little place to drive and get dressed up nice for and go meet somebody. And so, so I guess it really depends on your mindset with that, what you're trying to do. My buddy in Samara, I wonder where that's at, wants me to move there. Oh, it's in Russia, and find a Russian woman. But I see how the women are going in Russia now too. Not worth it. Yeah, I mean, again, maybe just go out there for a vacation and hang out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't got to commit to nothing, but you can go out there and just hang out with the folks, eat some Russian food and have some nice Russian tea and drink some Russian kefir and laugh with the folks and go drive around and maybe learn some new Russian words that you didn't know before, like siski piski or zmiya, which I think means snake. And just to get out if you ever wanted to. Russia has the highest divorce rate in the world, Luke, 60%. Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Didn't realize it was the highest. Yeah, pretty much what Giovanni said. That's how. Guys, look at the poll, and I thought I was cheap. Max I paid was about $180. Yeah, gosh. I mean, and probably some of that's like, dinner and then going somewhere else like right after or somewhere before that. Or it was probably a 2-venue date unless it was a really expensive restaurant. No-fault divorce was created in Russia under Marxism in 1917. Divorce has been a disaster in Russia ever since. Yep. But it was the third date and I got some. Man, shout out to you. Nice. Hold on. What made you leave the date? Yeah, it's a good question. I can't remember. I think that was whoever asked about leaving the bill. I wonder what it was. And that's what I tell the TradCon con men. Russia is officially Orthodox too. That's interesting there. That's an interesting point. I think people that are on the trad side of it, they focus like almost myopically so on the spiritual aspect of this. And I get that that's important, but I mean, there is also the pragmatic economic considerations of this entire deal, which I think is not talked about enough on that side. other than man needs to be provider, woman needs to be submissive, stay-at-home wife, right? So it's like, it misses some of that traditional, marriage conversation that used to happen for folks. Russia, women are not feminists. However, they have the highest divorce rate. So it's a slippery slope. They look feminine, but in the end, they will leave you. Interesting. They want to convince men to just get married to religious women like Catholic and Orthodox. Well, all these Orthodox babas in Russia divorcing their men, claiming abuse, then running after foreign. That's interesting. That's interesting. I guess it's just about what's incentivized and what options there are open for people, and a lot of people are gonna take that, and then this kind of goes into the discussion of not going back. You know what I'm saying? It's like I tend to lean towards we're not going back. Like, unless the world ended up in a position where where the economic systems and the technology level looked like how it was back then, we need to find a way to deal with the current challenges we have. Technology is an X factor for that. And things are just rapidly different. I mean, the way we communicate and all these kinds of things, incentives are different. Labor value is different. So that's the challenge there. That's the challenge. And I think it's important to kind of face forward there, on that and try to figure out, hey, I think it's good to look back. That's what we've been doing with the dowry and see, how did this work, to try to dispel some of the myths that hold us back on some things. And I think we can draw from that wisdom to try to build something that makes sense. I ain't that good. Women don't cook anymore, so you got to do this stuff for yourself. I'm telling you, man, I've been on a cooking journey. I've been doing meal preps lately. I made a steak for myself today, but I got like $30 worth of chicken thighs in my fridge, and I make those, and it will get me through six days worth of like the main meal. You know what I mean? Because on the first day when I make it, that's my dinner. And then I make 5 prep meals out of this. This gets me through the whole week. And it's chicken thighs that I bake in the oven. And then I have a rice cooker, and I make some brown rice. And I like to swirl around some butter in there at the end of it, because I like to put butter in a lot of stuff. And not cheap butter either. Expensive butter. The good butter. Anyways, and then I like to steam some broccoli. So it's pretty much broccoli, brown rice, and chicken. So that's been getting me, through the weeks there. And so I've been doing my cooking on that, trying to figure out this sourdough bread. Gonna try my hand at some ice cream next week. So yeah, cooking can be fun, and then there's just so much garbage out there that I don't want to eat. Like, I don't think it's a flex to constantly eat out. Like, you have a problem if you constantly eat out. Something is wrong with you. Like, you forgot how to be human. You're at the mercy at all these people out here that put all this garbage in the food, and then you're paying top dollar for it, and they're loading it with carbs and not giving you enough meat to begin with. You know what I mean? And then you got to go drive over there, or it's got to get delivered to you. Like, you just got to figure out a system in the kitchen. You know what I mean? You got to be in the kitchen cooking. Baking your own bread is a good thing. You know what's in it without all the chemicals they put in. Exactly. And I'm really trying to do it to like a almost nutty degree. I went to the store and I looked at the active dry yeast, and it all had sorbiton monostearate in it, or whatever it was called. And I was like, huh. And I stood there in the aisle, blocking half of it unintentionally, I guess kind of intentionally. Not, I wasn't really trying to do that, but I stood there looking at all the yeasts and seeing that they all had this sorbiton, monostearate in it. And I was like, man, it's probably not that big of a deal. And then I sat there on my cell phone, and I was trying to find yeast that didn't have that. And I was looking through Amazon. Then I was scrolling through Reddit while I was standing there at my cart for a long time. Then I was reading a bunch of Reddit stuff. And then probably 15 or 20 minutes went by of me really looking at this stuff. And I was like, okay. And I abandoned the bread project yesterday. Then today, after I spent $120 on that honey from my Russian buddy whose father-in-law raises bees, on the way back, I went to this organic store, and they had sourdough starter, and it was just, wheat flour and the cultures. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to just go with sourdough bread at this point, So I'm working on that. I really been trying not to eat bread, but I'm like, if I'm gonna eat something that's fun like that, then I should make it at home. So, yeah, I had a pretty good haul today. I got a lot of good stuff, man. Especially those gallons of honey. I'm like very happy about that. Saving up to have an inheritance for my kids when I'm done. Man, see, that is what's called respectable living right there. Honestly, I love that. That's called being a full, like, that's a human being right there. You know what I mean? This is like doing family the way it's supposed to be done. Somebody at least is trying to think about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's going to give you leverage when it comes to your discussions with them earlier, and it's going to add to options that they have in their life that they can choose to do, and how you create that will, you know what I mean? And you know, how you decide to distribute that money is something you have full control over, which is a beautiful thing. Watching the Ukraine woman run off to other countries and abandoning their men is also a wake up. No loyalty, dancing in clubs in EU while their men are slaughtered. Yeah, that's pretty sad right there. It really is. I'm not suggesting you take advantage of her if she's into you. Yeah, I mean, absolutely not, you know. Before dating, people courted. It was about being with the family and the chaperone. Dating happened in the big cities. Girls got arrested for prostitution all the time when dating. Long history. Russian food tea. My mouth is watering. Yeah. Gosh. It's starting to finally get a little cooler over here. I'm just glad I made it through August. But you've probably noticed I haven't been drinking tea pretty much like this whole summer. It's been like fruit and like water bottles, but I'm excited to get back to my tea. I lived in a post-Soviet country when I was young. Zmia, snake, exactly. Yes, it is. I shared stats on it a few months ago. Please watch that live stream. Have you ever seen that movie, Indecent Proposal? I haven't seen that. Being into you may not be the only factor. Dudes with money can always access our girl. I mean, that's where this came from. Shout out to Coach. And I know that's sugar-free, but, you know.
Do you have the stomach to watch a girl that you really love? Do you have the stomach?
Thank you, Mr. Pitt, for the faster version. I know this is a slow one.
To watch some motherfucker that got more money than you, that's more handsome than you, that's built more better than you.
That's what Giovanni's saying right here.
Fuck your bitch for a fee.
Mm-hmm. Russia is Russian Orthodox, but Russian church is not separated from the state. Guys, real quick, I'm just gonna take a leak real quick, and I did change the Be Right Back screen, though I don't have any text on it. I just want to say shout out to Luke Nielsen for the AI art and the song. So I'll try to be back faster. You know, anyways, I just got to take a tinkle here real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. She coming with nothing. Yeah. Deadbeat vibes. Let's go. Deadbeat woman, no bag, no dowry. Thinks she the table, but she just a story. Bringing no bread, but she want the glory. Deadbeat woman, drama queen, no quarry. Roll up, no fun, she just got a vibe. Claim she the queen, but her wallet's bone dry. Want the whole plate, but can't carry a load. Talking about love, but she breaking the code. I'm stacking my paper, she stacking the stress. Bringing no cash, but she want the finesse. Think she the boss, but she causing a mess. Weight on my back, and she more than my ex. Deadbeat woman, no bag, no dowry. Think she the table, but she just a story. Bringing no bread, but she want the glory. Deadbeat woman, drama queen, no glory. 808 quick, yeah, my bankroll thick. She show up empty, trying to pull a quick trick. Say she hold it down, but it's all cap. Emotional baggage, and she got a full pack. I'm dodging like chaos, she stirring the pot. Claiming the workload, but she giving me squat. No coins in the purse, but she talking so loud. Deadbeat vibe, she ain't drawing no crowd. She pull up, no hustle, just running the lips. Expecting the throne, but she sinking my ship. Got dreams at the top, but no grind in the soul. Leaving me broke while she playing the role. I'm out here hustling, she just want to shine. Talking about feelings, but she crossing the line. Her drama's a
Mr. Pitt, I'm so sorry. I just realized there was 2 AI images, and one of them there was yours. Shout out to you, Mr. Pitt. Thank you for that, for providing that other one. I need to just put like a be right back or something on there, maybe some kind of other information, and then, you know, I think it'll be good to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get into what we're doing here, bread and buns, and see what this is about. Frankly, I mean, I've seen like a minute of this, then I was like, I think this would be funny to. Oh yeah, yeah. Is that the first time you guys heard that? That song was put in the Discord this week, I think. I don't know if you guys heard that one fully yet. We might have to play that one later again. So, all right. Bread or buns? So, okay, we just listen, you know, we saw the Stingy Man. We remember the soft guy era. Let's see if this is related or not, or what the deal is. So let's go and move in here.
Hey.
Oh, and by the way, this is from Call Me Shape. Call Me Shape. Please check out his channel. Thank you, Call Me Shape, for this video. So, okay.
Call Me Shape. And today I'm reacting to a video titled Men Demand Bread or Buns for Dates and Women Freak Out. Let's get right into it.
It's bread or buns.
What's the problem with that?
As a man, you're supposed to provide.
Okay, guys, it's probably going to be like, there's probably going to be a solid 5 minutes of that. So anyways.
You're supposed to provide. You're supposed to be the breadwinner. You're supposed to do these things. And now men are complaining for doing men things. If I gotta pay for dinner, you gotta give me bread or buns. When did men stop doing the things that they're supposed to be doing as a man?
Time out. Allow me to explain what's going on.
Hey, he's got a t-shirt. It says bread or buns. Noun. Interesting.
So men are saying, hey, we're not going to provide anything for women anymore, okay? We're seeing a major reset in the dating market, okay? Gen Z men are saying, if you want something from us, you need to pay us for either bread or buns, right? Now, shout out to one of my supporters in the comment section, The Way of a Samurai 1980 says, you need to check out the bread or buns content that got women complaining too. So look, guys, if you find any trends on TikTok or anywhere else, let me know.
I ain't supposed to do anything. Exactly. I do what I want.
So, take a look at this clip.
I don't understand that. Bread or buns? Like, I don't get that.
Let's say I'm with you, right? And let's say you like, yo, Idris, can we go to a nice restaurant? Obviously, I'm about to spend like $300 or better. You get what I'm saying? So what niggas will say is bread or buns. Like, you gotta give something up. You want a nigga to listen to your life problems? You gotta get something up.
So
you know, it's funny because it's like, I feel like part of me thought bread or buns was that either they were going to ask, I mean, it sounds crazy. I guess it's like they put up some money for the date, or the guy pays for the date and then get some, you know, get some action. I will say though, like thinking about it, it's like, well, then you may as well just take the step further and go to the JUCO at this point. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing a nuance here, but it does kind of seem that way.
You're supposed to give up bread or buns?
Some type of return on investment.
It don't have to literally be bread and buns.
It's either you paying that money or you gotta give up buns. You know what I'm saying? So bread or buns, Miss Love.
And I don't think he's saying like pay to him, but I think he says pay your way on the date. That's my guess. I could be wrong.
India, bread or buns.
I don't understand.
It's very simple. I think it's very simple. I think it's quite genius, actually. And why is she patting a stuffed animal? I was looking at that like she's literally trying to burp a stuffed animal. You know, ladies, this is how far gone women are in 2025. Anyway, India Love, she didn't get it either. She's like, what? Guys want something in return? We can't just show up and get free food.
Ass, cash, or gas. Or cash, ass, or gas. Nobody rides for free. That's what it used to be. Yeah.
Dude, no, you can't just show up and get free food. Hell no. We're not doing that no more. This guy summed it up pretty well. Take a look.
2024 hit us with drizzle, and we got bread or buns in 2025. And honestly, I just went down that whole bread or buns like rabbit hole here on TikTok. And I gotta admit, this shit is absolutely genius work. I mean, this is Bud Light, real men of genius type work.
It really reminds me of the soft guy era. It's interesting that, like, I don't know. It's interesting because you keep seeing this well up, you know, so it shows that there's something going on maybe in the collective consciousness of men to where this keeps rising up again. You know what I mean?
I absolutely fuck with it. She want her tire changed, fellas? Hey, bread or buns. She needs that leak in her ceiling fixed? Bread or buns. She want her nails paid for?
So what, you know what this kind of reminds me of? I think I used to see in the manosphere, it might have been like a Rolo term, conditional femininity, where it's like women are feminine on condition of, or if these things are satisfied. And it's like men coming back and saying, we'll be masculine, but it's conditional masculinity on condition of this or that.
Her hair did and all that bullshit? Hey, bitch, bread or bun. She needs you to call her a babysitter so she can go out with you tonight. Bread or bun. She wants you to...
Now, men are actually doing this. Okay, I went down the rabbit hole myself. I couldn't believe it. Like, are men really asking girls for bread or buns? They are. Take a look.
Like, how are we paying for this bill? Like, with bread or with buns?
I'll suck your dick.
I mean, at this point, you may as well just be at the JUCO.
Wow, look at how...
A price paid for a favor, not just in gold, but in the sacrifice of flesh. Can you take me somewhere to eat, bread or buns?
far bread or buns could take you. High risk, high motherfucking reward.
It really does seem like a manifestation of really, really young, like it seems like early 20s people right here. You know what I mean? Like this is in the generation after us. You know what I mean? Not like us millennials over here. This is like the newest Gen Z-est version of soft guy or whatever.
As the founder of Bread or Buns, I am very proud to see that Bread or Buns is being perfectly executed in real life situations. Now allow me to explain what happened in this clip. This man said bread or buns in order for him to pay for his food.
Man, look how excited he is. When this guy learns about the history of dowry when it comes to actual marriage, this young man's mind is going to be blown. They're understanding it with dating, and they're seeing that what I call the microcosmic, you know, sort of thing there. But when they get to the macrocosmic of the long term, it might blow their mind. We're like, wait a minute, it was like this the whole time? Especially when people try to shame them as far as traditional stuff goes.
And the lady offered to give him neck. These are two people who 100% understand the law of equivalent exchange. Humankind cannot gain without first giving something.
I love the background music.
In return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. I want you guys to understand that Bread or Buns is deeper than what you guys think it is. It's not just a joke. This is real life. We be upfront, we get what we want. You want your nails?
You know, I'm gonna put a poll for this. There are some people, and I'd say probably a lot of the older folks, probably especially older content creators, would probably want to shame these guys and say that they're not being real men, or that, you know what I mean, they're just not wanting to step up to the challenge and make some money and just pay this stuff or whatever. So I don't know. I'll put that as a poll question. Are the bread and buns guys real quote unquote men? And I feel bad writing that, but I don't. Real men? Should they be shamed? Nah, that's not like there's two different strains of thought, even in the manosphere. That would be like this guy right here, they just don't want to be high value. You know what I mean? They just don't want to pay. They want, I don't know. I'm trying to characterize that. But at the same time, it's just like the dating thing is so messed up at a certain point. When you look at younger people who need time to establish themselves and make money, well, what's it going to be? I'm just going to leave it like this. Are the bread and buns guys real men? And I'll do yes or no. I don't even know if that's a fair question. Base FCZ says, honestly, bread or buns really does force the conversation of what is a relationship between a man and a woman really about. I mean, yeah, I think I'd agree with you too. Then there is some kind of reevaluation there, you know? And at a certain point, you know, a lot of guys are getting kind of feeling like they're getting cheated or squeezed out on dates in the sense of like, you know, paying for dinner and then getting ghosted. And at a certain point, especially if you're a young guy, I mean, this kid's probably in college still or something. He's just like, F this. You know, I'm tired of it. Bread or buns? Bread or buns? I don't know. Shout out to the young folks for doing something. Like, to be fair, should women get things for their buns? No, probably not. But women also shouldn't get things for free either. It's a toss-up. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if you're going to be straightforward in the deal, like the JUCO participators are, then okay, yeah, the guy wants this. He just wants the woman for that. And then he's going to pay a fee for that. But if it really is dating, you know, for something that isn't just about seeing each other as like, you know, a vessel for sex or a vessel for paying for stuff, then yeah, I don't know. Should it not be some contribution from the other side? I think that falls in line with Gold Pill in some ways. Base, I saw your comment about alchemy. Bruh's using alchemy out here. Yeah. He's using Full Metal Alchemist terminology. The law of equivalent exchange. Instead of real men, I view them as men who understand the value of their time. I think they now understand equity. Yeah, they're basically giving equity back, and they're saying, well, why should we just be masculine? You know, like, why not do conditional masculinity back to your conditional femininity? And, you know, a lot of it goes back to shaming men for wanting sex. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a man and you reveal that you want sex, you're like the worst human being. You know, they're going to be like, he only wanted sex. You're like a monster. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Did you hear what he said? You know, and I understand how if people are too forward about that, it can be creepy. And that's honestly why I want to do an episode on this. Like, who has a dirtier mind? Is it really the men or is it the women? And this video right here, which I really think I should make this its own episode, but you're going to learn about the stuff that turns women on and that women read and is essentially smut. Like, women's literature out there is basically the nudie video hub, except it's in book form because that's how they do their thing. You know what I mean? So who really has the dirtier mind? I'm so tempted to listen to this tonight. But part of me also wants to put it out the next week, which is a long time. We really going to do that? So yeah, I don't know. You know, girls think men want to pay for dinner. Like paying the meal is a flex, but it's really trading this for that. It's a quid pro quo. Yeah, but you can't explicitly say that. If you explicitly say that, you're a bad guy. All you want is sex. You're a horrible person. And to be honest, I don't even think guys go in there just wanting sex. For the most part, not real. Like, I don't think so. But what happens is after you get ghosted, or, you know, she just starts pulling away or something after, then you're just like, what the hell? You know what I mean? I paid for this. And they're like, oh, well, you were expecting this. It's like, no, but it's like once, you know, they start pulling the game on you, then it definitely seems that way because you're like, well, what did I get out of this? And it's like, what do you mean? What did you get out of this? So men are just like being more upfront in the sense of like, pay your way or do something tight or get out of here or whatever. This is transactional regardless how you want to frame it. It's essentially prostitution. I can agree that they are men of standards. I just have a huge problem with them. The term real man is the only true definition of that is an adult male human. Yeah, I hear you on that, Luke. And that's why I hesitated to put it in there. I put it in quotes as real men. I mean it in the sense of like, in terms of like how others use that phrase, I guess, you know, because even other men are going to come in and they're going to shame this guy for saying this and saying he doesn't want to be a real man, quote unquote. Let's see what the poll here is. Let me just end the poll. 7 votes, 100% says yes, he is a real man. And, you know, it's an interesting thing. I was talking about this last week a little bit, but it's just like the true test of masculinity is having the fortitude to expect a dowry or ask a dowry. You know what I mean? It's like, how is being an alpha simp making you masculine or a real man? It's not. But you're willingly wanting to go into this hero archetype that the romantic ethos puts you in, and you think by you paying for dinner, it makes you masculine because it puts you in that role. I don't know. There's a real discussion to be had here, and a lot of guys are afraid of standing up for themselves. But other men will come in and say that that's not manly. You know, this is where the discussion of masculinity comes in. But at a certain point, you know, I think you got to be honest about what you're trying to do or what you want in a situation. If you're just trying to go there to get laid, then, you know, I guess it may as well be prostitution and pay for it at that. Don't complain about that if that's what you want. But if you want more than that, then I don't know, maybe standing up for that, and then however long it takes till you meet someone that's on the same page, then it can make sense that way. So it's something to think about. This is the first time hearing of bread or buns, but this is proof CGA's batting 1,000. The dating market is becoming more transactional. Yeah, I mean, he's the one that says the monetized dating marketplace is his phraseology. He's more recently about, you know, being tougher on the guys, which is interesting, and I get it. You know, he's a coach, so it makes sense from that end. And his purpose is to coach men into being higher value, quote unquote, if that's, you know, what they want to be. But looking at it from normal people in the sense of average people, if you're going to look at it from the sense of average people and people working normal jobs and living normal life, what are they supposed to do in this situation? Especially if you're a young person coming up, it's going to take time. I mean, to get to a point where you can flex your muscles like that, your wallet muscles, I guess. But even then, once you get the money, some people's values might not even really care to do that to begin with. You know what I mean? So that's another discussion. But yes, it does seem to be that way. It's kind of like there's this huge gray area. You know what I mean? And there's this bleeding of prostitution into what was a formal courtship thing. And that's how you get this big thing of dating that we have, because it's kind of either or all the time, depending, and people can play both sides of the field. I agree, not the best term. Rom-coms are like nudie videos for women too. Oh yeah. Let us never forget, this is from Base, that for as much as men may watch nudie vids, women make them. Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, but then what they'll do is they're going to come out and be like, well, you know, I was pressured into it and this and that. And there's just like this whole kind of victim story on the back end, regardless of how many legal forms were signed during that process and how many laws there are governing this whole thing. That makes it pretty clear to both sides of that equation there. But yeah, then it becomes that. I think women think about sex in totality as much or more than men. A guy is creepy because a woman imagines sex with him and is disgusted. Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent, like when it comes to these romance novels and stuff, like this is evidence that like when it comes, like for a guy, like you have to be willing to seduce a woman. You have to seduce her. You know, you have to. And it's not even necessarily about lying or manipulating anything, but there has to be some story there. Or there has to be something in her imagination and her mind. You know what I mean? And romance novels really play to that for them. Where men's, you know, they're just different and they're not really into romance novels. I mean, I don't know if I've ever met a guy in my life who like is like, hey, you should really read this romance novel. There might be some all right romance movies out there. I can't think of any on the top of my head. The only one I remember, like just as a name of a romance movie, is A Walk to Remember. Because when I was in art class, in between 9th and 10th grade, I took summer school and I took art. There was this guy who like mentioned the movie. And he was talking about that with some woman. And so I remember that as a movie. That's a romance movie. And you could probably put, I don't even know if Forrest Gump would qualify, to be honest. But anyways, yeah, I've never really met a guy that's like, yeah, you know, romance novel. And that's why this is called women's literature right here. You know what I mean? So if a guy tries to go for sex, but he hasn't like done the seduction part of it, then it's going to be creepy. Now, I feel even bad saying that because there's probably some guys out there that can get that without doing much, but something about them makes, in her mind, her telling herself a story. So it probably just seems like she's throwing it at him, but she might be. She might be. It might, all of that might not even be true. Some ladies out here might just be out here just looking for it, you know, in some type of way. So, man, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Maybe we will watch this tonight. I don't want to get your hopes up, but maybe we will, folks. Thank you, Base, for that. Exchange of values implies calculation and keeping score. My husband usually says that transactional relationships are not long lasting. I don't know. I think there's an interesting discussion to be had there. I guess it depends on the type of transaction and how that's going. I think if you're going to sit there and you're going to count every dime out, that'll probably be kind of annoying. Unless you guys are two total nerds. Like if you're just like some super nerds, like she's an accountant and he's something like that too, and you guys are just made for each other to do that, then that's fantastic. You know what I'm saying? But it also depends how you're going to define transactional and what that means. You know, I think in a relationship, there needs to be some aspect of that discussed. So at least you guys are both understanding what the deal is. So, you know, transactional stuff shouldn't be fully demonized in favor of a romantic ethos. There should be some of that in there. Positive or negative, where they cry about abortion or they read fantasies. I think women are truly horny creatures on equal, if not greater levels. I lean that to that understanding too. You know, I think part of it's true, especially once you see what's going on here. This will make you think that way. When it's done correctly, it isn't truly a transactional thing, and scores are not kept. Unfortunately, modernity has made it that way. Anyways, let's move back into this.
Done, hair done, want to get taken out on a date, Chanel bag, Lululemon, you gotta give something up. Bread or buns?
I thought it was gonna say buns.
Like, how are we?
Damn. You gotta give something up. Guys, I was this year's old when I discovered the law of equivalent exchange. Never heard of that before. And then again,
it's in Full Metal Alchemist.
There are a lot of laws I've never heard of. You know what they say? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So women, if you haven't heard of the law of equivalent exchange, let us break it down for you. You want something of value, you got to give up something of value. Is that simple?
There it is right there. That's Edward, I think is his name.
Anyway, we got more examples of women just freaking out over this bread or buns. Take a look. Hey, listen up, Safe Squad. Are you tired of being ignored by women? Well, download my free ebook, Be Attractive and
Shut Up by Call Me Shape. Don't let your selfishness ruin memorable encounters with women.
Since when did we owe you niggas money and pussy? Since when was that on the agenda? Niggas over here talking about bread or buns. Since when was it implied I owed you niggas money and or pussy? These niggas be feeling too entitled. Bread or buns? Y'all niggas ain't getting shit or piss from me. Bread or buns my ass, nigga. Trying to be poetic and shit. Nigga,
Jeez, such a potty mouth on her. Wow.
My pussy or you going home. Fuck all that bread or buns shit. Y'all niggas is way too entitled. Who's the original co-founder? Cause I have some words for you, bread or buns. Since when did we owe you niggas money and pussy? Since when was that on the agenda? Like, what the fuck is happening in America?
Elena says, guys, it's dinner time here. Great live stream today. Well, thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy dinner. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to you and Plutarch and the other folks from the Resurgence there. Thanks for being here, Elena. You can't really keep scores correctly anyways, as cost value of services might be highly different on both sides. Romance movies post-1970 almost all seem to have a running theme of a woman cheating on someone to find their person. Yeah. The only romance movies I watched were because my ex wanted to watch. Yeah, yeah. Only reason, and yes, I suffered through them for her. Oh my God. I think all of us feel your pain, Luke. And I'm sure you felt that pain on a higher level than the rest of us. But yes. Yes, I understand. I understand that. I understand that. I completely understand that. Titanic. Frankly, just watching this video and seeing these TikToks, the Titanic does come to mind.
Now I gotta give up some pussy or some money. Why though? Why? Why?
Damn, her video sucks. Let's get to the next one.
Funny, man. I'm telling you, you're bugging. Anyway, here's the situation I thought was pretty funny. Take a look.
Thanks, babe, for taking me and my friend out.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem. I was wondering if you could pay for her meal, too.
Is this bitch serious?
Nah, my dick gotta get done twice tonight.
Babe, I hate when you act like this.
Bro, is she down with the threesome or not? Something gotta give. You want her to eat for free, too? I thought she had her own money.
That's my friend.
Okay, and you're my girl.
Babe, stop.
Nah, bro. It's Bread or Buns over here. Is either she gonna relinquish the funds? This dick gotta get done.
What? Broke ass nigga, I told you stop fucking with these broke niggas. Let's go. Let's go.
Bye, hungry.
Bye, Brokey.
You know, it's fun. They're having fun.
He said, "I hungries." They said, "Nah." She was like, "Yo, can you pay for my friend's meal?" She said, "Nah, this dick gotta get done twice." You know what I'm saying? Double up. Shit. And people,
you know what? That's another poll I want to put in there. Have any of you ever paid for the friend's meal? I'll put for her friend's meal. I mean, like, I feel like it's going to pretty much be no. Because it's just like I don't understand how you find yourself on a date where, like, suddenly their friends are there. Now, if you're young and I get it, like, you're new to all that, it could probably happen somehow. But other than that, I don't think, you know, let's just see. Have you ever paid for her friend's meal?
don't understand that, man. We're really coming up in an environment
Buns
where
are buns in that case,
women
exactly.
are using men for free food. Now, not only they want to use us for free food, they want us to pay for their friends too. So you telling me what like a buffet to y'all? What like an ATM to y'all? Hell no, bread or buns. You know what I'm saying? I can't knock it. Look, at least the Gen Z's coming up with something, right? At least they're coming up with something. Listen.
I mean, you know what's crazy too? I mean, I feel bad to say this. I'm sure it's not everybody. But if a good amount, if, you know, Coach is saying that dating is a monetized marketplace. And if a lot of these young women are, you know, on the JUCO anyways, or are monetized in some form or the other, then if men are going to, if the young guys are going to date women their own age, then I don't know, is some form of that justified or not, you know?
I'm tired of seeing all these men simping. I'm happy that our future is going to be secured by some men that are pushing back saying, hell no.
Yeah, see, I mean, and that's a good point too, just about, it is saying I'm tired of simping. So isn't that a good thing? These guys are saying we don't want to simp no more. We're not simping. We'd rather just pay you straight up for some buns. Like, is there anything wrong with that? I mean, that actually that makes sense.
So now when I watch my nephews growing up, they already grew up in an environment where if a woman wanted something from me, it's either bread or buns. This idea that a man has to pay for a woman, we've taken it way too far. I'm telling you, way too far. Here's why. What's happening is, because women are so entitled, they're thinking to themselves, oh yeah, you gotta pay. And you know what happens too? You're paying for women you barely know. If you meet a girl online on a dating app and you don't know her, the first thing she wants is a 5-star restaurant date. How? So you telling me I gotta get to know you while I'm spending $300? Come on now. Even if I made $30 an hour, which by the way, the average man in America probably makes $20 an hour. And let's say I made $30 an hour. I gotta work for 10 hours to go on one date with a girl who doesn't even know if she likes me or not. Hell out of here, bro. I ain't doing that. Anyway, some girls do understand. Take a look at this.
Yo, ma. Yo, baby. Yo, I can't take the trash out unless you give me. What?
Oh my God.
Bread or buns?
Say again.
Bread or buns?
Bread or motherfucking buns, nigga.
Bread or buns. Now, I'm a little pissed at him for saying this shit in front of kids. There's like a kid on this seat, okay? But look, his girl already knows she already cooperating.
I would have skipped forward. I think we're getting the point of what this is. Let me do a couple more.
Look at this Asian dude. It's even working in Asia, yo. Check this out.
Oh, you want a skin?
Yeah.
Hey, bread or buns?
What does that mean?
Bread or fucking buns? You gotta get one or the other up.
Bro, if I had to choose, then I'm gonna choose buns.
So you're gonna let me crack you?
Yeah. Later, okay?
She said yes, sir. She said later.
That's
later. And look, I get it. I understand. I do believe punani is valuable. I believe women should keep their legs closed. I believe women should only lose their virginity when they're married. But if all y'all gonna be 304s, if all y'all used to paying for everything with some buns, you gotta pay me with some buns too. Oh yeah, I want to get paid. This shit is going so viral. Everybody's trying it. Guys, you might want to try it too. Take a look.
What's up?
How are you gonna pay for this food? Bread or buns?
What?
I mean, they got the mics on, but you know, it's a kick stream.
But it's pretty obvious. How are you gonna pay for this shit? Don't come free for me.
So what do you want in exchange?
Bread or I'm asking you, how are you gonna pay for the food? Bread or buns?
None.
Nothing.
I want another option.
What's the other option?
I don't know.
Movie theater.
What's up?
There ain't no other option.
See what's up with this one. I think we get the point.
Can you be in my video so we can make my ex jealous?
Huh?
So we can make my ex jealous?
You giving me bread or buns?
I'm sorry.
You're not giving me bread or buns.
Can you just pose for the photo?
Absolutely not.
I don't have bread or buns, so I can. I'm out of pussy. I'm sorry. So can we just? Excuse me. Can you?
Out of
Oh my God.
pussy ain't gonna work. Out of pussy ain't gonna work. I'm sorry. That's not an acceptable answer. Bread or buns? You choose one, okay? Now, to prove that this is not acceptable, listen to what this girl has to say.
I just seen this funny ass video, right? This chick walked up to this random ass dude on the street and she was like, you mind taking a picture with me or a little video trying to make her ex jealous? And why the fuck do y'all do that? Because y'all be the main reason why motherfuckers really be getting knocked off on some shit. Y'all, why, when she asked for the picture, the little dude said, you got bread or buns? And the girl was like, huh? Bitch, bread or buns? You want me to put my life out there to make your ex jealous? I need some bread or buns. And I ain't talking hot dogs, ho. Okay? Bitch, a favor for a favor.
Luke Nielsen says this guy just needs to listen to Dontavius. Exactly.
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
You thought you was gonna ask me for a picture and think I wasn't gonna try to get some bread or buns? Bitch. Playing around with her gonna get this man knocked off by an anonymous user.
You feel me? Knocked off by an anonymous user, somebody you don't even know. It's all fun and games for her. And she was like, oh, I'm out of pussy. You out of pussy? Well, I'm out of favors. Yeah, favor for favor.
There's the face of a dude whose only girlfriends have been Mrs. Thumb and her 4 fingers. Oh my gosh. It's all prostitution these days, but to be fair, men pay one way or the other. The only real question is how the women are paying. Yep. That's true. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's just, I think at a certain point, men, either it's just like, all right, well, you can overt pay or you can deal with this covert nonsense. Trained her right. I love being a New Yorker. Coffee is cheap, and if she thinks you're cheap for offering it, then she's a waste of time. Very true. Speaking of coffee, haven't seen Coffee Enjoyer, but shout out to Coffee Enjoyer. I don't have a problem. I don't have this problem. I don't date. If I want to go eat, I go eat. I pay my way. And I don't have to worry about that crap. If a buddy comes, he pays his own way. Yep. I hear that. Sometimes, like, you know, I got buddies where, like, sometimes I'll grab it. Sometimes they'll grab it. You know. All right. I'll say we'll watch, like, one more clip of this, and then we'll hightail it. See what's going on here.
Oh.
It's definitely like very young people. I can see how it's going viral, like in the sense of like the term bread or buns. It's kind of funny, you know.
Do with your discretion, but take a look.
Bro, why are you walking all the way back there?
What do you mean?
You barely be showing me any attention, bro. I'm tired of this shit. You pissing me off.
Nah, she steady complaining, gang. I gotta hit her with the B.O.B. You steady complaining.
The B.O.B.
Bro, you see I don't give you no damn attention, gang. Like, you just annoying. Like, if you want attention, gang, you gonna have to give me something.
Give you what?
Bread or buns, gang. Like, simple as that.
What, bro?
Bro, bread or buns. You can give me the bread right now or the buns right now. You don't matter.
Man, this is like they're like teens.
That shit was ass.
What? She started spreading unimportant information
to
the
God.
public eye to ruin my image. I gotta put an end to this.
How much?
Bro, 150. Come on.
50?
Yeah.
You too ugly to be talking like that. Like you would never money worth spending.
What? Nah, you definitely not talking about
I
me.
definitely am. Matter of fact, let's leave it at this. I'm not giving you no money. I'm not giving you no funds. Simple.
That ass?
That ass.
Damn. She
Oh
said,
man, this guy needs Dontavius.
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
He needs Dontavius, man. He's gonna be all
dead
right.
ass.
All right, see what's up
Fellas,
with the gas
what do we learn
station.
from this clip, okay? And now I get it. It might be a skit, but it's some truth in
This one looks like it's gonna be kind of weird.
I got like $5, like literally.
She look. How about this?
Oh, so she asking for gas
going to
money.
Embarrass you. I'm telling you, they go and embarrass you. Anyway, here is a successful victory for Bread or Buns. Take a look.
My car is out of gas. Like y'all got like $5, like literally.
She look. How about this?
Damn, man! In the age of like smartphones and being able to just transfer payments and send in a Venmo or a Cash App or something, like where are your parents at that you can't? I mean, you know, she seems relatively young. Like you don't got nobody in your entire damn kin group that can't give you some gas money. You're out here asking strangers.
Cheat on your boyfriend. We'll pay for your gas. I mean,
I don't got no boyfriend. I don't got no boyfriend. This shut the fuck I don't.
Oh my God, this is insane.
Not today, I guess.
This is like bread or buns on steroids. I don't know. This is a lot. This is a lot.
Bread or buns, right?
Can you send me the address?
What y'all gonna pull up? You gonna have to drop them dudes
Oh.
I'm
off.
dropping them off and then we're coming.
Oh my God.
Oh, we having order.
I mean, I don't know who's gaming who, because they might be saying, well, you got to give us the gas first before we drive over there. And then, like, they just never see him again.
Like, all three of us, it's a whole three. Like, we three together.
Oh,
but yeah,
my
you
God.
Come here. They're my boy Dave. Oh, sorry. We too
Hey, look,
young.
there's cops over there in the background. Oh, my God.
How old are y'all?
We 42.
Ain't no way you like
Dead ass. No, I'm playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. We is 35 though. Take a picture of that. We do YouTube.
Oh, serious? Do your thing. That's not. My car is out of gas. Like,
He said, do your thing, okay? Now, look, these dudes are clearly trying it. They're trying to see if it happens. They're trying to vet these girls out. And I won't lie. They look like they're down. They look like they're down. Now, I don't know how old they are. They said I think they're older than 18, 19, whatever these girls' ages are. These dudes are in their 30s, 35. They want some gas. Hey, man.
This is how the JUCO was created right here. Just some 30s to 40s or older, and then women looking for gas money.
You know, how you going to pay for it? Back in the day, I think they used to say ass or gas. Which one? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
In this scenario, you want gas, so you got to pay with some ass. Now, everything seems transactional. I'm not saying that I want it to be, but this is the world we live on. This is the dating marketplace. It deals with economics, okay? This for that. Remember the law of equivalent exchange, okay? We're learning new words here, all right? But I didn't...
All right, let's go to the last one. Zay really told her it's bread or buns.
Anyway, here's another interesting clip of bread or buns. Take a look.
You want free food? It's McDonald's right there. You want to go to McDonald's real quick? Order food. You can ask here whatever you want. You have a boyfriend?
Calling right now.
Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer.
Why?
Don't answer. Don't answer. Don't answer.
He seen me walk off.
So he seen you woke up with another nigga. He don't care.
He don't care about me sometimes.
That's terrible.
Can I get McFlurry? Or you where I'm at?
Oh my gosh.
That's it?
Well, they're walking up to the drive-thru.
How are you paying? It's butter buns. How are you paying?
It's bread or buns.
You could put a hold in it. She has to like figure out how she's paying.
That's so funny.
Buns?
And it just hit him. She's gonna pay with some buns. Now, these are not great. It's not a great.
That's honestly funny though, because it's like she thought she was gonna get him to pay for some stuff, and he just trolled her ass the whole way. And it's funny. You know what? Shout out to him. There's nothing funnier than that. When you lead someone down a line and then you completely subvert their expectations. Like, I mean, it's not nice to do that to people, but when it comes to something like this, where they're trying to game you and then you game them back and it's just hella funny, and then she just got used for content, and it's like, okay, now go run back to your boyfriend after you're already just hanging out with this guy. So it's just funny on so many levels, you know?
Payment here. And this girl, I seen she had like the Playboy bunny tattoo on her side. I wasn't really feeling that. You know what I'm saying? Look at this right here. Okay.
I mean, yeah, we're, you know.
She's kind of a little obese, a little overweight. But hey, at least she's paying.
Let's see. We'll take a look at the comments here. Well, let me look at the chat real quick, then we'll take a look at comments. This conversation reminds me of a bumper sticker I once saw in a car. Ass, grass, or cash. No one rides for free. Yep. You notice how it's either they walk away or say buns. The real trick being played is that the woman isn't getting something from having sex with men. Isn't getting something happen. Gosh, I don't know if I know exactly what you mean. The real trick being played is that the woman isn't getting something from having sex with men. I don't know. I guess it's like if they're offering, if it's like they're paying for the date or something, then I guess they get the meal or whatever. That's how I'm seeing it. If they say buns, then the guy pays for it, technically. It just seems like the JUCO with like extra steps, you know. If they say buns, then it's like, okay, then the guy will do the favor for them, whatever that happens to be. Either it's, you know, gas money in this other case here. A woman gets service and she gets some stroke. Ah, yes. Okay, I get it. And you've mentioned this before in the chat too. Hey, it's the law of equivalent exchange, Base. Both people get something. Gosh. You know, I do wonder, what do you think about this, Base? The conversation that comes to my mind with that is, are women actually getting the thing that they want out of sex? And that is to be pleased, you know, to ring the gong, so to speak. The way a lot of this comes off is they treat men like they're expected some money because they feel like, or they know they won't be satisfied in bed, but the guy will be taken care of, but not the woman. So is it really an equivalent exchange if the woman doesn't get what she wants and just the guy does? You know, that's where then they're like, oh, well, you need to pay me, or it becomes this weird situation. I don't know. I wonder that. Is it an equivalent exchange? But I'd say in general, yes, it is. Both the man and the woman take care of each other, so I see where you're coming from on that. So quick to offer up the buns, they truly are prostitutes. Yeah. This just goes to show they literally have nothing to offer other than the clam. There you go. I mean, I hate to say it, that's sounds mean. You notice how it's, let's see. We'll pay for the gas if you come over and do the dishes and cook dinner. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to be sex. I mean, hey, I need a shoulder massage, my neck. I just need you to work on this for a solid 40 minutes, you know, and do that first. Sex is only pleasant for women if it's a man they love, admire, and respect. Otherwise, it's basically a root canal. I mean, well, it's funny because it's like sometimes it seems like that's what happens in these trad marriages. Like men fall for this trap of if you do these things, then you'll get this reward. And it's like on a natural level, the woman isn't even really feeling him like that. So she's just changing his oil, but it ain't really doing nothing for her. So then both people are engaged in, now that's transactional. You know, it's you're paying this woman to service you with, you know, being the provider role. But that's not a natural attraction. That's not the natural thing. And I mean, you know, most guys, if you've been with more than one woman, you're going to understand that there's differences there. There's differences in libido. There's differences in the level that a woman's feeling you. Some women you can do that. Some women you can't. There's experience and there's all that kind of stuff, and it's going to work or it's not going to work. You know what I mean? And if you can, you know, they'll probably be treating you a hell of a lot different than if you can't, you know, to some extent. So there is a discussion to be had there. Well, Sha, I don't think women are as hard to please as they say they are. I think we're often seeing how men are viewed, not really what men are offering in reality. Most women aren't going to get you stroked down and have zero reaction and just have no input in what occurs, but maybe that's just my experience. Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think women suffer a lot from, let's just say, masturbation as much as guys do. Like when you look at like the nofap community and how the nudie videos affect men and affect, like there's so many stories on there about guys not being able to perform because they're so addicted to that. And it's like, I never looked at women as having that same problem, but then as I dated, I realized a lot of women pleasure themselves even more than men do. And it's got to the point where I will, if I'm with a woman, I will tell her not to do that or shame her for that, basically. Because that is going to affect your sex life, I think, also. Like if she's constantly just beating on herself, you know what I'm saying? Then that's gonna mess things up down there in the same way that a guy who's constantly fapping's going to do that. So, but I think, Base, when men and women and they have these conversations where they're saying the guy needs to do this, or they like in the sense of how they're commonly viewed, it's because I think those guys that they're talking about really aren't actually doing it for them in bed. Like they're not. Or they lost it, or maybe they used to, or they were, and then they lost attraction, or their libido is just gone forever because they're not being seduced, or they're just touching themselves way too damn much and hitting the easy button hella times that they just ruin their circuitry down there. You know what I mean? And this whole psychosomatic back and forth. And then it becomes like, I think that creates issues. So I don't know. I think maybe, you know, for some guys who understand that and, you know, experience the differences between that, you'll know. But I think there's a lot of people out here who actually aren't getting what they need from it, you know, and they just put up with that. And then that's kind of what they're doing. I get that sometimes sex isn't as amazing as one might imagine, but it's also seldom just two dweebs looking at the wall. Yeah, I don't know. It really depends. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes even for the guy, like in my experience, there's some times where it's like, oh, okay, let me go change this woman's oil because she really needs me and wants me to do that, you know? And I might not even be into it that much, but I'll do it. You know what I mean? And then I think other times, I don't know. I only say that because I read so many stories of people in dead bedrooms or things like that happening. And it's like something's definitely missing in that. Then there's like your passionate, both people are into it and they have a decent life. But I will also say from experience, it's like some women have like a much higher libido and they enjoy it and they're down and that's the thing. And then others, not so much. So there is this level of compatibility on that too. And, you know, sexual health and their own relationship with that. Now that being said, I do think a lot of these women are out there touching themselves way too damn much and need to get that under control. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, changing your oil is an idiom I have to steal. I just, you know, because of YouTube. So I got to think of other ways to say that as much as but there have been times like that. There's been times where it's just like, damn, I'm driving across town right now and I'm having these weird meta moments with myself. And it's like, you know, part of me would rather stay home and just read a book or something like that. But whatever, you know what I mean? I know she needs it too. And she's got needs and I'm just out here like, I'm, you know, whatever. Sometimes the guy has to think about her needs and do what. you know, deal with that. You know what I mean? And then there is this difference between like, you know, her pleasure and then yours and what you're focusing on and this and that. I think a lot of guys who grow up though watching a lot of nudie videos are kind of conditioning themselves in a bad way because they're watching something that maybe is more performative and they don't understand that there's this whole other aspect of getting in there and having to do a job too. You know what I'm saying? Which sounds kind of unromantic, I guess, but there is something that happens there. So anything. Yeah, you're making some good points. Thank you, man. Yeah, I hear what you're saying though. I definitely do. Like I can see in general that it's not like that. It's not like everybody's out here flopping around like two damn fish, not knowing what they're doing. Like that makes sense. Somehow people come together and stick together for a while. You know what I mean? So something was happening. There must have been some fireworks. You know what I mean? Somewhere along the line. Just doing your civic duty. Yeah, exactly. Oh, gosh. It's supposed to be both partners working for each other. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, I think culturally speaking, though, like when it comes to the guy side of that, like, I don't know. Maybe men and women both see the same thing on the opposite side and they feel like they're being neglected or something. Uh-oh. This is me driving to the other side of town. Taking care of some business. You know, I don't know. It's interesting because I think men and women can both experience that feeling. You know what I mean? So that's where Dontavius comes in.
You gotta stay gaming, bruh. Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
Sometimes the guy does for her. Sometimes the woman does for him. Rarely after the initial honeymoon phase do you both match up. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I think that's where like general libido and stuff comes in. I mean, I've known, you know, there's some women where it's like every time you see them, it's not even a discussion. It just happens. You know, then there's other women and they need a lot more stimulating. And then, you know, there could be even, you know, where there's just nothing that happens at all and they don't know why. And honestly, it's just like, it's not something that I don't believe it's something that women can just give to you. Like if you're not turned on, how are you going to perform? But with women, it's like they got to be turned on too. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not, then it's like you can't. They just got to be turned on too. So it's like you got to, you know, find a way to do that. And, you know, after a while, if it's not happening, then you got to just Dontavius your way out of there.
You gotta stay gaming, bro.
You know?
Don't focus on no girl. Just stay gaming.
No, that's tough if you're in marriage and it goes away or you're in a long relationship. And I've had buddies explain that to me and describe their experiences where it's gotten to that level. And it's just like, damn, man, like I wish I could figure that out. The red pill, in a sense, and this isn't exactly moral, but I think for them it was about, that's where all this discussion about like, you know, competition anxiety and flirting with the waitress and dread game and all these things came in. And you know what? This kind of makes me want to go, man, we still got to read the comments on this, but this makes me want to go to the Red Pill archive and type in the word dread game. What I did is I typed in hypergamy and I was looking for the oldest threads on hypergamy to see what they had to say because I thought that was kind of like hilarious. But anyways, let's just read these comments and see what people think about bread and buns. Seriously, though, bread or buns has always been a thing. It's grass, gas, or ass from the 2000s repacked. There's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. Gotta tax the hungries. What happened to ass, gas, or cash? Nobody rides for free. There it is. Yeah, you guys were mentioning it in the chat, too. Aaron the plumber said it best. The burger holds more value. They'll give up buns before bread. Did chicks really think they were the only ones who can flip the script? Exactly. Simple alchemy. No buns, no funds. Hold the fort, fellas. One chick asked, since when do the ladies owe us men something? Well, simple, ladies, the moment you fix your lips to ask us for anything, you owe us. So in short, ladies, don't ask us for nothing and you won't owe us nothing. It's very easy. I mean, he's actually right. It's a very easy concept. When you think about it, fellas, salute again. Equivalent exchange is a Full Metal Alchemist term. If you're gonna watch Full Metal Alchemist, watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That's the important one. Yeah, but sex is fleeting. It's new and fresh, and then you get to know each other and discover you can't stand each other. What you're describing is the death of the romance. You know what I mean? And then you consider that people are basing their marriages off of the romantic ethos. And even back then, we have newspaper articles of all of them acknowledging, yeah, we know what happens to these love marriages. Eventually, they hate each other. It's not even just about not liking each other. Yeah, it's just like you said, can't stand each other. A lot earlier than the 2000s. Exactly. Bread, buns, or guns. They don't have bread, so I guess buns it is. Eventually, you snap and don't care. Thus simplifies it. Or this simplifies it. Not One Piece playing in the background as Buddy explains bread or buns. Let's see. Bread or buns is absolutely for guys that are struggling because those are the ones getting simped out of their money. The guys that are successful don't need to say that. It's already what automatically happens for them. Pookie and Ray Ray already get the bread and buns for free. The unsuccessful guy ends up paying for friend dates and stuff like that. Now they are being encouraged to join the transactional nature of dating by getting something in return. This is hilarious, bro. You had me about to run off the highway. Was laughing so damn hard. Dang. Shorty's got a problem giving up bread or buns, but will fly to Dubai to get dookied on for pay. There you go. Fair exchange is no robbery. Okay, guys. We got a decision to make. I'm about 3 hours in. Man, maybe I should just react to this one now for the heck of it. Let me just type in Dread Game. We're going to look at some old... Red Pill thread, just for the heck of it. Look at this. Field report Dread Game in action. Okay, 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Let's see what happened there. They have no dowry, so they're poppers. Exactly. They're coming at you with their hand out, asking about marriage. Yeah, no thank
dowry.
you.
It's my right.
Exactly. No dowry, no marriage. I travel for... Okay, how long is this? All right, we got a long one here, but I'm going to try to do it. I travel for work. That in itself is a useful tool for creating soft dread, being unavailable. Man, I almost can't bring myself to read this. My tendency is to always be flirty and outgoing. I am not currently... Okay, talk about how it sucked and then how you turned it around. I am not currently involved in an LTR. Okay. Yesterday, I was walking around... the hell with this. I'm sorry. It lost me. I'm good. I probably read this once. 11. Okay, in an LTR. Women in relationship subreddit unintentionally proves that Dread Game works. Okay. Recently been struggling with the amount of sex affection in my LTR. I've been with my girl for 4 months, but we never had the intense physical attraction, crazy sex marathons that I've had in the past relationships. Damn. Well, okay. I mean, I can hear Dontavius already. She's never been one to initiate sex or anything else physical, really, like kissing, hugging, holding hands, etc. Yeah, some women are, it's like pulling teeth with them. Great personality and super attractive, but is horrible at showing affection. Things have gotten better over time, but nowhere close to the standards that I hold for women that I date. This all came to a head when we hung out earlier this week. I showed up to her place and gave her a couple kisses. She cooked me dinner, and we met one of my female friends out later at a bar. Held hands on the way back from the bar. She fell asleep on the couch and we went to bed without having sex. For me, this is almost unheard of, especially 4 months into a relationship. Something inside of me snapped. There was no way that this kind of precedent was going to be set. I really like this girl, but there is no way I'm going to continue a relationship with no physical or sexual attraction. I went into Dread Game mode, not because I consciously deployed the tactics, but because the red pill flows through me so much. It was the only way my body knew how to react to the situation. Okay, Dontavius was talking in his ear a little bit. The next morning, I woke up, got ready for work, and slipped out the door without saying much and without a kiss or my usual ass grab. I went no contact. 2 days later, she texts me and asks if I want to go golfing with her friends. I say I'm not interested. I've got some things I need to work on, that she should go without me. She ends up canceling those plans with her friends because she doesn't want to go without me. She ends up going to a bar with some coworkers. She invites me. I say I'm busy, but I'll stop by when I'm done. When I show up, I once again don't give her any attention or affection. I sit farther away from her than I normally would. Further away. We're on an L-shaped couch, and I sit on the other side of the L, arms spread out on the back of the couch. like a king surveying his kingdom. I give my attention to everything in the room except her. Okay, yeah. One of her female coworkers comes and sits by me. This girl's a bit older, but is still very attractive and also very drunk. This girl is all over me. I maintain the position I'm sitting on the couch, never lean or touch the girl. Damn, all right. Yeah, she's watching us. When she gets up, I don't turn to my girlfriend. Instead, I sit there. My girlfriend slides over. Okay, yeah, anyways, this is the dread game, and then they end up, your night, your friend's up to you. She says, wants to go home and have sex, something she has never said before. Okay, yeah. All right, I'm sorry. I don't know why I tortured everybody with that, but yeah, they used to talk about it a lot, is all I'm trying to say. Guys, how do you feel about this? We're at 3 hours and 9 minutes. I'll do a poll, and I'll see if y'all are interested in that. Man, I forgot to end the last poll. Have any of you ever paid for your... Okay, 77% said no, 22% said yes. So some of you guys have, huh? I don't think I have. I don't know if I've been in the position to pay for the friend's meal. Definitely not. I don't think I have. Do y'all want to watch the video on the nudie literature for ladies? Question mark. Okay, romance is a lie. Absolutely. Yeah, if you're going to do romance, it needs to be something that has like nothing that involves joint property. They have no dowry, so they're poppers. Exactly. Chad and Pookie, Ray don't even have to ask for buns or bread. Women throw it at them. Yeah, but hot sex is fleeting. It's new and fresh, and then you get to know each other. Yeah. I was thinking about it. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to save it for next week because it's an interesting topic. But, whatever. If we're all here chilling now, then we may as well. You know what I'm saying? So I'll just let y'all decide. I got a little bit more energy. I'll probably call it after this video, though. And I might not, towards the end of it, it gets like, all right, we get what you're saying, lady. There's going to be a lot, like, it's going to be a lot of words to describe something, but it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Later, gents, taking off. I ain't that good. See you, man. Thanks for being here, bro. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me, I might save it for next week. It's an interesting video, man. It's just one of those, like, telling on yourself videos is the thing. Like, I would be interested. I think it probably should be its full stream. You know what's funny, Base? I was just thinking, like, I would, like, almost love to see one of your style videos just on this. But no pressure. Like, I don't know if this would actually be something interesting for you or something that you'd even consider making a video on. But if you do have time to watch it, like, I would be interested in your thoughts. But if anything, maybe I'll just save it for next week. I think you're right, man. And let's just chill, listen to some music, and then I'll call it. Sorry, it seems like some of you guys did want to watch it, but I think Base is right because the subject is interesting. I've planned it. All right, that sounds good to me. Yeah, no pressure, of course. I mean, I know, like, sometimes, like, when you make videos, it's just makes more sense when it's something that naturally just came to you that you actually want to make a video on. But if you watch this and you're like, this is kind of, I've already watched it. I planned on, you have watched it already. Okay, that's good. Nice. Yeah, okay, yeah. Now I'm actually interested. So now that I know that you want to, I'm actually really interested in hearing your reaction to this. I don't know why. It was just something that I felt like I was learning something that, like, I may have known, but also kind of forgot as time went on, So that's pretty good. All right, gentlemen. Oh my God. I think it'll be best to call it for the night. Let me get some music on, man. Okay, we got Deadbeat Woman. You know what? I want to hear some of Mr. Pitt's classics right now. That's what I want to hear. Or a Dan the Man classic. Nothing like some smooth jazz. Okay, come on. Load faster. There we go. I appreciate y'all, gentlemen. Thanks for being here. I agree. It can wait. Thank you, Luke. No rush on the video. It'll be a teachable moment regardless. Absolutely. Yeah, I just think it'll be funner that way. And I think it's one of those videos that deserves its own episode. Another video I want to react to is Paul Elam's discussion with $1 Million Project. They talk about like Passport Bros and stuff. Other than that, man, I hope everybody has a fantastic Sunday tomorrow. And that you guys, you know, are blessed to have the peace of just the peace of mind to work on whatever projects you want to work on. And you're not tripping off nothing. Like you're not worried about no girl problems. You know what I'm saying? You guys have taken Dontavius's advice.
Don't focus on no girls, just stay gaming.
And because you did that, you know, you can just hang out and enjoy your CRT television, you know, and like watch some old animes and maybe play some PlayStation 2 while you're waiting on your sourdough bread to get made. You know, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want for you guys. I'll see you, fam. Good night. Thank you. Appreciate you hanging out with this base. It's always a blessing. And have a fantastic night as well. Thank you. Oh yeah, play the boys tunes. We got to. Luke, man. I swear to God, the songs you made last week, man, were amazing, dude. I appreciated them. And I love seeing you and Mr. Pitt's conversation in the AI content Discord section. I do peek in there and I like to look at what y'all are doing, and it's pretty cool stuff, you know. I appreciate the knowledge you share. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you hanging out and us just being here. If you guys want, I mean, I don't know if you guys care, but if you want, sometimes I do some video game streams on Twitch. But please know that, like, when I'm streaming on Twitch, it's all about, like, I'm only streaming on Twitch because I don't want to, like, trip off of streaming that hard. But, you know, we've been doing some Metal Gear on there. Some Metal Gear Delta. So, if you feel like it. Sometimes I think about throwing it all to the wind and saying the hell with it. I'm going to just do some streams on YouTube that got nothing to do with the stuff we talk about. You know, but I'm not trying to, like, bog it down with content that's not the usual stuff. The other part of me doesn't care. You guys might get a video of me at the archery range just firing arrows, and that might just be a 10-minute video for y'all. So, you know, you can look out for that. Klaus says, have a good evening, everybody. Always a joy hanging out. Thank you, Klaus. It's a blessing to have you here. It really is. And I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot that you guys here. It really does. So I have a blast doing this. And I just, you know, wish that I can have more cool stuff to talk about and react with. But typically throughout the week, I find something, you know. I want to bring something to you guys that's special. That always makes me feel good. Counting down the days till Battlefield 6. Man, that'll probably be a pretty fun game. It's been a long time since I've done any gaming. That's cool, man. So, I mean, it's always nice when it's been a while, then you can get back into it. It's the same with me, bro. Like, I have such a hard time playing games. Unless it's like, That's why the CRTs worked out for me, because it's games I've beat before that I know already. But new games I'm having a problem with, basically. But I've been trying, and Twitch gives me an excuse to do that. Oh, let's get shit to listen to Shaw. Man, Deadbeat Woman is also good, but let's give Dan the Man some shine here. So, and I know I gotta make some model kits. I still gotta do the pros and cons of having kids for Joker. He sent us a bunch of stuff for that. So I gotta communicate with him. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Other than that, I've just been enjoying reading and living my life. I'm just grateful to be working, you know, and having some decent work, especially in these tough economic times, and being able to just enjoy things. Man, I've really wanted some pizza for like the last week, man, and I've been avoiding that craving, but I might get some pizza one of these days, and it's gonna be nice. So yeah, man, I forgot how good this song was. See, it's just been a while since I heard it. Thanks for everybody who gave a super chat. That's, that's awesome. Appreciate y'all spending your money over here, and I'll try to spend it on something worthwhile. In this case, it did go to sourdough bread. It went to honey, 2 gallons of honey. But this is good stuff, though. It's not normal honey. Like, this is like straight from a beehive, you know what I'm saying? Unadulterated honey. This is the raw honey. This is the good for you honey. This is the honey that sits in the Pharaoh's burial place and is good 3,000 years later kind of honey. So I re-upped on that.
Sitting there with a grin on his face. Boy loves a gamble, it's a high stakes race. He raised his glass.
I'm gonna wait for the song to end. Man, get your Russian buddy to get you some Russian chorny bread. That sounds interesting. I'll have to look that up. Buy some new Apple products. They just got me. What did you end up buying? The new iPhone or whatever? My iPhone 14 will probably last me for a while. Ooh, it's a black bread. Oh wow, so that's chorny bread. That looks pretty healthy for you right there. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty dang good. I can go for some chorny bread. I'm working on sourdough, man. I'm trying to I'm trying to bake my first loaf of bread in my life, you know. I might even throw some rosemary in it if I can get a decent first loaf. It'll be pretty good. Oh man, I miss how good authentic chorny bread. I gotta look some of that up, man. I've never had that before. Thanks for teaching me about that. iPhone Air and a new Apple Watch. Oh yeah, Apple Air. Is this the first time they've made an Apple Air? iPhone Air, excuse me. iPhone Air. It is, yeah. It's like super thin. Let us know how you like that, man. It's called black bread, Russian chorny. Dang it, I got so many things. Kleb. That's how they say bread. Got it. Well, salute to all you. I appreciate you guys. And I'm hoping for a blessed week for everybody. I'm using a 14 Pro Max. That's exactly what I got. But I'm considering upgrading because the iPhone 17 is supposed to be the most digitally secure OS to date. That's a good reason. That's a good reason. Gosh, I just can't bring myself to buy another phone, at least till like... I typically buy a phone once there's a huge upgrade in the camera. Like if there's a huge camera upgrade, then that's what makes me want it. I made borscht for dinner this week too. I've had borscht before. I've had a couple different borschts from a couple different people's households, and they were always good. They were always pretty good. Have a great Sunday and good week to all. Night, gents. See y'all next week. Good night, Shaw. Thank you. Have a fantastic night, everybody, and enjoy your week and find something new to do and something to have fun with. We'll see y'all next week. Maybe even